This episode was brought to you by the following patrons. Jay's Pack, Sex Caliber Bones a Lot. James, Madeline, Edward, Sunzi, Vixen, Holly, Natasha, Laura, Boeasy, Jeremy, Ali, Jennifer with a PH, Mr. Rage Bomb, Libby, West, Dreskel, Aaron, Kristen, Tia, Lauren, Jonathan, Kate, Isaac, and Karoon. And all the patrons want you to know you're loved, you're listened to, and you're a valuable member of this awesome Horror Virgin community. And if you want to exercise with all of us, join the Facebook group where we are exercising people daily.
I went to the laser show, and they're like, we're going to pop balloons with lasers. And I was like, well, we got to go to that. And
Of course.
It's all like guys my age, and it's like friends I've met through like some of the stuff I do. And it's like, They're like older, responsible people. And like, it was one of the guy's birthdays. He's like, this is what I want to do for my birthday. And I was like, oh, that's weird. But like, sure, let's do it. And like, getting a little buzzed and doing science experiments is like the most fun thing. So we're doing the laser show, and they're talking about the lasers, they're popping balloons.
I like that you're calling this science experiment.
Yeah.
Where you're like, we're going to discover new worlds, but first, let's get a little toasty.
And they're like, this is how we do the special effects or whatever. And we use the DMX system. And I was like, get the people what they want. And then I was like, we went to another science show, and it's definitely the show they put on for children, but it's like 50 drunk adults in the audience instead.
Right.
And
Perfect audience.
He's doing electricity, and he's like, we're gonna use this pickle.
Electricity.
He's like, he like conducts electricity through a pickle, and he's like, we gotta stop it before it explodes. And we're like, the whole crowd was like, boo. and then he's like, what, do you guys want to start a fire that goes through the whole city? We're like, woo.
Yes! Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your Horror Virgin Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, you all made us watch The Pope's Exorcist. So was this the first time either of you had seen this movie?
Yes, but I wanted to see
waited.
it.
I wanted to so bad, and I waited for the show.
This is also the first time I saw it. I do remember this coming out because it's goddamn Russell Crowe as a 1980s Exorcist. So, like, of course people sent this to us when it came out. Yeah.
I remember us three watching the trailer a lot and being like, this looks good. Like, really,
can't wait.
Really right up our goofy alleys.
Yeah. And it was. Like, I do think there are some scary moments in this movie.
Okay.
But
All right.
Sort of fucking thought it was hilarious on many like practical, CGI-ical, and dogmatical like levels. I found it very funny.
Yes.
This movie delivered of what I was promised in the trailer, which is like,
Yes,
I want something like really batshit bonkers Exorcist story. And thank you, Pope's Exorcist.
And then can that movie also set up what would be a Pope's Exorcist expanded universe where we could potentially get 200 of these movies?
You know what that is? That's a premium cable TV series that I would fucking watch.
Yes, every day of the week I would watch The Pope's Exorcist on Max.
And you know, I'm not an exorcism person. It's a version of horror that gets to me because of how I grew up or whatever. It scares the shit out of me. This did not, because it's fucking nuts.
I'm the opposite. Exorcism stuff doesn't scare me, so it's like the opposite of, I don't know, it's like my least scariest of the subgenres.
Is it because the possessed person like never ever gets out of the bed? Like there are things about exorcism movies I think make them inherently not super scary. Although Paige, I think because I also grew up super religious like you, they do specifically like play on my specific fears, you know?
Yes.
Well, it does make me think that Grandpa Joe was possessed by a demon.
And that golden ticket was the holy scriptures.
Well, I mean, he went to Wonka's factory, sabotaged everything, and tried to put the devil's influence more in the world after the
Much like this
grandson
movie
got the golden
did
ticket. Yes.
with the fucking Inquisition.
I love a good Inquisition retcon, so I'm
I
here
love
for
that.
it.
It was so ballsy.
That's not even the top 10 craziest thing in this movie. That's the
That's
funniest
just a
part for me.
throwaway line that they're like, you know, the devil did that. And I was like, oh, shit, okay.
The Pope coughs a stream of blood into another cardinal's face, and that's not even making top 10 of the weirdest shit in this movie.
The best part of that is it's so painfully clear it's CGI because like the Pope throws up blood into the cardinal's mouth.
Yeah.
And then the cardinal's reaction to that is like he got something spilled on his shirt, not that it went down his fucking throat.
Directly
Because I would throw up immediately. Like if the Pope threw up in your mouth, first off,
well,
what are the odds of that?
Pope,
Congrats.
It's
yeah,
holy.
I mean,
Congrats. I think that's like a get to heaven for free card,
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm open to the Pope throwing up down my throat. And that's all I'm going to say.
That's because in 80 years, when you're telling your great grandkids about the story, they're going to be like, yeah, we've heard this a million times. This is the only story you tell. Because that is like an insane thing.
From the Pope's mouth to my soul via vomit.
Here's my favorite, like my two favorite things
You
about
only
this
have
movie.
two favorites?
Oh, I have so many favorites, but the two that are coming
I
to
think we
mind
may
this
need to
moment.
relearn what the word favorite means, but let's continue.
Sure. I love that the Pope is basically the equivalent of a police chief in this film,
okay.
where he's like, you go figure it out, you go retcon, you interview the witnesses. That was
I
crazy.
unironically love this film.
Mikey,
I very much love the film because that's the Catholic Church I want.
Like our brand of Jesus doesn't have as many rules as Catholicism.
Yeah.
So I love it whenever Catholicism is like, you new rules state that you have to be this thing and this thing at this time according to the quorum. And you're like, really? All right. Okay.
Bureaucracies.
Yep.
I loved Russell Crowe's character. Everything he said and did was my favorite thing that's ever happened to a priest.
He has the same Italian accent as the hairstylist in Princess Diaries.
That is a very specific reference.
That is 100%
Listen,
accurate.
I'm not going to look it up, but I trust you. Like,
Yeah, because I have faith.
You don't remember in Princess Diaries where he's like, Principessa, I break the broom in your hair. Like that kind of like
this
that.
is not going to like surprise anybody, but no, I don't remember
His
that.
little bird sounds and shit, and then he's murdered a bunch of people in the war.
Yes!
I was like, I love all of this. And
he rides a Vespa?
he is the Mel Gibson cop of the Catholic Church.
Yes!
In the sequel, we are definitely going to get the scene between him and the Pope where the Pope is like, you've gone too far, Russell Crowe. Turn in your holy water and your cross.
I'm tired of cleaning up your shit, Amort. Yeah.
And I love that in this version of the church, the priests just fuck women, but that's also cool. They're like, don't worry about it. Just like,
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I got the vibe that like, what happened was the devil got in and made them do all those sex scandals. You know what I'm saying?
No.
This isn't the Inquisition, Todd.
Yeah, no, Todd, they're not retconning that. They would have a side conversation where Russell Crowe's like, well, what did you do? And he's like, I fucked the shit out of that woman, but I told her I wouldn't give it up for God. You know what I'm saying? And then but I lied to her. And then he's like, well, now you're forgiven.
He's
and that's
like,
gone.
don't worry about it.
And I was like,
don't worry
yeah.
about it. You're fine.
Yeah.
He's like, we all have affairs with women. And I was like, if that was the scandal the church had to deal with, they would be so popular
I know,
now.
because the other girl, the Rosaria, it's like, turned out she was being abused by, and I was like, just her? Like, what's going on here?
This stylized, rose-colored, like hopeful version of a Catholic church is the church we need right now.
You mean Lethal Weapon, the church?
Yeah.
Because that's basically
I would convert immediately. I would be. What is the guy's name?
Dudley and Lady Jane, but like, you know.
No. The Italian guy who's like, he follows the Murdoch.
Mario. Boyardi?
Gabriel Amorth?
Oh, he was the sticky bandit. He's in
Joe
Home
Pesci?
Alone. Joe Pesci. I would be Joe Pesciing all over this church. I'd be like, yeah, I converted. If the Pope tomorrow was like, we've identified 199 spots where fallen angels are, we're sending our armies,
That's one of the
and we're gonna
craziest
exercise.
parts
I'd be
of
like,
the best part of this movie. No.
I'd be like, holy shit, I guess the church is back on it.
Yeah.
Let's go. Or if they're like, hey, we executed and burned at the stake every priest that's touched a child, I'd be like, oh shit, like that's old school, but like,
cool.
Yeah.
you know, that's your own stuff.
I mean, like carcinogens in the air, but okay.
It's
Yeah.
because it's from their skin. It's the carcinogens. Yes.
I also loved every time this movie's like, the ghost can smell fear. And you're like, what? Like, he comes up with so many random demon facts that you're like, I don't think is that a real one? I don't.
That's the beauty of Catholicism. They can just tack it on at the end there and be like, listen, the Pope said it and you're good.
He fully does. He's like, you have the right to remain demons. Anything you shriek can and will be used against you when we come to your house and eradicate you in the name of the Lord.
I like when he goes in the crypt and he's like, that's one of the best exorcists of all time. I know that from anywhere.
As if there's like a Marvel expanded universe of exorcists.
I know. This is our Captain America. This is like our first, movie in the Pope's expanded universe, the PEU.
I like that the one rational, modern priest is like, well, evil's probably within ourselves and hurting other people is evil. And they're like, we sent his ass to Guam. He doesn't know shit. Yeah. Personally, spiritually, I feel like in my version of religion and Christianity that if demons really did all this, it would be counterintuitive. Because I do think that if people saw evil incarnate on the earth, that would give them a lot of reason to believe in goodness and God do all that.
If the Catholic Church was like, hey, here's proof of what happened at this place in Castile, and we have proof that there are 199 other of these things, you don't think the world would unite around that shit? Yeah. I do think religion becomes a lot easier to believe if you have proof, Mikey. Yes.
Yeah. If the great Satan appears in the sky and he's like, I'm going to kill all of you, you'd be like, oh, maybe that God guy was like that. Jesus Christ. He was doing
where's
good
our
stuff.
Captain America?
Yeah.
I feel like the last act of this movie did not happen, but in fact, they were just exposed to a gas leak for too long because they go in that basement and they're like, do you smell gas? And he's like, it's because we're getting closer to hell. And I was like, what?
No, I mean, it actually,
or
that's
there's a
canon,
gas leak.
Paige, because people be farting a lot in hell, Paige.
Nah, people be farting in heaven because that's how you know you ate that good cheese.
I actually wonder if you shit in heaven. Do you think when you're in heaven, you eat for fun, but your body just gets rid of it? You don't have to poop. It's just gone.
Controversial statement. I kind of like pooping after I've eaten a lot. It feels
like you've accomplished
you feel
something.
Empty. It's I'm down. But you're probably right.
No, I'm not right. For the record, I was just asking a question, for the heaven believers out there.
Hashtag not my heaven.
The version of belief I grew up in says that you get a new body when you go to heaven. Your earthly body dies because it is temporary and mortal, and maybe pooping is a part of that. So your new body might not even be anything like this body, so maybe it doesn't need to poop. I'm going to be disappointed if it's a humanoid body. Give me some wings
Paige,
and shit.
We do not want, we're not bringing tentacles into this episode.
So, my favorite part of this movie was they based it on a real guy who
is definitely a liar, by the way.
Oh, you mean because in 2013, in May of 2013 to be specific, he said that he had done 160,000 exorcisms.
What?
Yeah, he's in the gym 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, holding people down.
Paige, that's literally 5 a day since birth until the day he died. I did the fucking math.
Wait, that's impossible because there's 365 days a year. Todd.
160,000 exorcisms.
1,000. I thought it was just 160
This
total.
dude is lying more than Wilt Chamberlain. He is insane. Oh, and then the movie then says that only 2% of those were actual exorcisms.
Right,
the
that he
rest of them
referred
were
everybody
referred
else
out,
away.
right? Which means he saw 8 million people over the course of his 91-year career. I did the math. I was so mad at this. I did the math.
I can feel that. That's what work feels like for me.
But that does feel like someone who has been not doing their job at all, but still writing to Rome to get their paycheck about what they're doing day to day. They're like, I did 180 exorcisms this week or whatever. Send me my money.
Oh, guys, have you guys seen a picture of this dude? He looks like the Six Flags guy.
I love Catholicism. Let me come and exorcise you.
Get out of that kid's body. Get out of that kid's body. Oh, but then instead of a Vespa, he'd be riding the Venga bus.
Okay, so I have to say this about the Vespa. It's a 19-hour drive from Rome to Castile.
Thank you!
And he does it on a fucking Vespa, guys. That is worse than walking from Denver to Louisiana. Actually, now that I say it aloud, it's definitely not worse than that. The Lucky One is an insane movie.
And specifically, he's in San Sebastian. Spain, which I have been to. It's the complete other side.
Yeah, he just hoofed it on a Vespa. A Vespa that also has enough torque to move a huge stone top of a well. I love that too.
We should clarify, because I don't feel like getting emails about it. It's a Lambretta as opposed to just a regular Vespa.
I honestly am going to call it a Vespa the entire time. Yeah.
Same. Me too.
If you email that, I want a safe to fall from the sky from my Catholic church into your head.
Wait, your Catholic church is in the sky?
With God. You see, if I could make my own religion, the world would be more like Looney Tunes, and I don't know if that's good or bad.
That's bad, Mikey. Haven't you seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, we watched it last week.
It's amazing.
Oh, God.
Oh, I should have said we watched the C version last week.
Yeah.
They put the demon in the dip in this movie.
That's true. That puddle is all of a sudden lava. The last 5 minutes of this movie are unreal. They are unhinged.
Honestly, the last 20 minutes of this movie are just stolen from other exorcism movies. Like, he takes him on like Father Karras does. The girl gets possessed and crawls up the wall like the last exorcism.
But then also like the pray for the devil.
Yeah. So and then they get thrown into like what looks like lava tar at the end. The one thing that was new was Russell Crowe's projection, the woman he didn't save or whatever, when she comes up as like Mary and then goes.
I was like,
that actually scared me a little bit because I wasn't quite expecting it, because it's the first thing they didn't steal from something else.
Sure, but for a hot second, that light comes down, the Virgin Mary comes up, and I'm like, holy shit. If the Virgin Mary shows up to save the day, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. I'm going to laugh until my eyes melt out of my face. But then no, it was just
a demon. Been great,
but like
though.
that would have been so wild.
He wrote a book entitled, I'm reading his Wikipedia while I do this because it's just fascinatingly crazy.
Yes.
One of the titles of his book is The Devil is Afraid of Me.
Honestly, though, like no notes on that title. I like respect that. That's an amazing title.
The hubris.
Father Amorth, my battle against Satan. His name, semicolon, my battle against Satan.
Father Amorth, Satan is a wonderland.
No, Paige. His next book is Satan is my bitch. Like, he's just like talking shit to the devil in his titles of books. And I love that.
We've got to watch his documentary.
No, Mikey, I absolutely need to, because I have to know if William Friedkin, who wrote The Exorcist, or directed The Exorcist, directed the documentary. I have to know if he also was just like, this guy's full of shit, right? Or if he's like, see, evil does exist. Like, I don't know. Like, I have to know if they did it for real or if they last exorcism.
And the documentary came out in 2017, so it's like modern.
Yeah, it's modern. That's why I want to watch it. And I feel like if it had been crazy and real, more people would have talked about it.
Okay, but Friedkin, I'm assuming, is a Catholic, so he would probably believe that this is true, right?
I don't think William Friedkin is Catholic.
Oh, I don't care. I'm just saying, like, Catholics, like, believe this is real, though, right? Like, not like to this cinematic level, but like possession is real and that kind of stuff, right?
But I don't think William Friedkin does.
Oh, it has great reviews such as this. A rather tawdry charade.
Yeah, it's 4.6 stars. And he performs his 9th exorcism on an Italian woman.
Bucket list.
You ever exercise an Italian woman, Mikey?
It's a me, on my bucket list.
It's a good way to squeeze out some pasta farts, is exercising as an Italian woman.
And Paige says that as an Italian woman.
Hey, why you know like I'm a whale? I'm watching the trailer for it right now, and they definitely believe it's real.
Of course they think it's real. Like, this is like Catholics believe this kind of stuff, right?
Not usually, no. It's a pretty unpopular modern belief.
Okay, so like, can you just be a Catholic and not believe in Catholicism? Like, not believe in all the tenets?
I mean,
like all of this stuff?
Exorcism is considered fringe. Like, it's not super normal.
But the Pope has his own sanctioned exorcist page. Well, if that's real. I honestly don't even know that that's real.
I don't think it's real. I mean, I think it's bullshit.
But they have like an exorcism wing. Like, they definitely do have that.
There is. And there's a board that potentially approves them. They hardly ever do it. And like the board in this movie that's like, hey, we're trying to get away from exorcisms is very real.
Yeah.
That's the realest part of this movie, is the Catholic Church being like, yo, cool it with the demons thing.
Hey, stop
like,
tying people to bed so you can abuse them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. And so I would say most modern Catholics are not necessarily like, yay, exorcism. Most of them are like, you should probably seek mental health care first, and then we pray over people a lot. Like, that's about where it's gonna be.
Yeah, but like believing in the power of prayer and believing in exorcism are two very different things in my mind, right?
Yes.
Like, I know people who don't practice any religion who believe in the power of like prayer or affirmations or things like that, right? But like a lot of those people also don't believe in exorcisms.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If you polled 10 Christians, like just Catholics, Protestants, all the way around it, I would say almost all 10 of them would agree to some form of like, hey, there's things in this world that we don't understand in the spiritual world, and you shouldn't fuck with it. Number one.
That's what I think about those kind of things too. Yeah, like it's not real, but I ain't gonna fuck with it.
2, people should absolutely seek all healthcare options before exercising any of this option. 3, holy shit, I hope it's not real. Like, that's where most people land. And even the people who are not con men, because I am of the belief that a lot of the people who tout themselves as like professional exorcists are con men. That's my belief.
Which is why I think my favorite exorcism movie is The Last Exorcist.
That's why it's so good.
Yes. And she leaves the bed in that one. So like there's threat from outside. Yeah. So like I agree that's way scarier than this.
Yes, because in my mind, exorcism should be the thing that you never want to have to do.
Yeah.
Ever. Right? It should be your absolute last resort if like every possible thing has failed.
I think the scarier version of that is that you just kill your relative.
Oh, you mean that somebody kills somebody in an exorcism? That's why you shouldn't want to do it, you know?
Or like, if you exorcise them, they die. Or we have to kill them. You'd be like, okay, there's a demon and we have to kill him now.
Boom.
The stakes are low. Exorcism movie have really low stakes.
Well, not really, because in like if you believe in exorcism, right? Like let's say it is real, all of it's real. That means if you kill someone, it doesn't stop it. They can either use the body or they will inhabit somebody else. So like
the fallen principle.
Yeah, that's why people get so fucking terrified of it, is because it could be anyone and you have to get rid of it. You can't just kill somebody, you can't just whatever. You have to get rid of it. And it knows you, air quotes.
Biblically.
So like modern exorcists usually conning people because you shouldn't want to do it.
The most disturbing part of this movie for me was when that child grabbed that grown woman's tit and was saying, you never breastfed me. And it wasn't because it was scary in the moment. It's because I was like, oh, should we really have that child doing that?
Yeah. Well, here's what I will say. It's multiple cuts. So I don't know that the child did.
Good.
That's a CGI hand.
Well, it's a hand from off screen. The child is not on screen when it's happening.
Yeah, you guys don't know that's actually my hand. I am a stunt hand boob fondler.
And it did look like more of an adult hand. The only reason is because I felt the same in the moment and rewound it and was like, what the fuck? Yeah. And then I was like, oh, that's definitely a different hand.
I get paid to show up on set and just, pinch a nipple and take off.
Mikey really talks about how stressful his job is, but I'm glad that he is now being honest about what it is.
It's a side hustle, but it is stressful because
how do you monetize it?
Yeah, the art of the caress is my
forte.
Mikey Randolph, my battle with the caress is the film coming out.
I'm going to make a book cover for that book.
I have fondled 160,000 breasts.
No, that's like 12 a day so far. And that's since you've been born, Mikey.
It's a hard life.
I'm sure it's very hard.
My wrists are so sore.
I have carpal tunnel.
Yeah. I like boobs, man.
Same.
And like, if you do what you love, you're not going to work.
No, you're going to molest.
I'm paid.
A little
occupationally. I did think the child in this wasn't that creepy because he's like really overacting everything, and it looks silly to me. Man, I loved his voice because Ralph Ellison did his voice. And that dude, his voice sounds like he's gurgling gravel between takes, and I love it.
Yes.
He's just been vaping with it as a kid. You
gotta get them kids off the juice.
I will say the demons are they're just very over dramatic, which takes away the scare factor for me.
Yeah, it took it away for me too. I was like, he just looks silly.
He's like, hey mom, you're such a bitch. And I'm like, I don't know.
Well, and that does bring up something that like, do you think it would be scarier if a demon possessed somebody and then just didn't say anything about it.
100%.
I talked to Natalie about this while we were watching it. While I was watching it, she was reading because she didn't care for it. But I want to see a possession movie more like The Thing.
Yes.
Where it tries to get you one-on-one and then it possesses you. And then there's, more like that.
Maybe we should cut this out so I can write that. Hold on, I'm writing this down in my notes. Possession movie like The
Paige,
Thing.
I thought of some scares for that type of thing. I'm happy to throw at you.
Yeah.
I'm just a little pissed that we didn't get Russell Crowe saying, "Are you not exercise?"
Supposedly, that's the scene where he walks in front of the Colosseum is a nod to Gladiator.
Of course it is. But do you guys want to go through this movie scene by scene?
Yes.
Okay.
One more thing. He does look like he's having a ton of fun throughout the whole film.
Okay, and I will say this. We're definitely getting a sequel, right? Like, they're definitely making more of these movies.
No, I don't think it made enough money.
Not to spoil anything, I know it made money. Obviously, I'll go into specifics when we cover box office.
I'll Google it.
There are two things Russell Crowe has to do for me before he dies, and they are two sequels. The Nice Guys 2 and Pope's Exorcist 2 through 200. I need all of those movies.
It is, in fact, getting a sequel. Sony is giving it a sequel.
Yes.
I think they know what they're sitting on, and that is the best expanded universe property to come out since the Marvel Cinematic Universe started. I'm not even joking.
Okay, but hear me out, though. So, Pray for the Devil should exist in this universe.
I think all possession movies could fit in this universe.
Kind of like what they do with What We Do in the Shadows, where they're like, call the Vampiric Council,
Yes.
and it's everyone who's ever played a vampire.
Absolutely.
So good.
Anyway, let's get into this movie, though, because we've been talking for almost 40 minutes, and we haven't yet gotten into it.
Oh, God. Well, and there's enough plot, too. It is a jam-fucking-packed hour and 40 minutes. So, it opens with a quote. When we jeer at the devil and tell ourselves he does not exist, that is when he is happiest. Quote, Father Gabriel Amort, chief exorcist of the Vatican.
Shit, I've actually read that quote. It's from his very famous book, Fuck You, Devil, Come At Me, Bitch!
Square up! Say it with your evil chest!
Oh, you read it. That's the subtitle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys subscribe to his blog, Satan is a Cunt?
It's wild that no one else had that on GoDaddy yet.
I think it was on Go Devil at the time. My favorite one is the one he wrote after meeting with you, Mikey, and that was, Satan is my P word.
Oh, his MySpace must have been wild.
Yo, to be in his top 8, though, it's just like all the demons he's vanquished.
Or it's just a top 12 and it's the apostles.
My space is clean.
Instead of this house is clean, Paige.
Yeah, Paige. The poltergeist.
Oh, shit. Oh, God. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking poltergeist because that's not demons.
It's fine. I won't make any more horror movie themed jokes today.
Well, I was just confused because I was like, what clean? What? Anyway. My favorite is that same actress in 16 Candles being like, what a lovely wedding, after she drags her very under the influence sister out to the car.
Well, if you want some more tips on how to integrate horror movie jokes, come over to my website, satansucksmydick.net.
I thought it was .edu. Did they make you move it?
.edu. I offer courses.
I lost my accreditation.
Can we please get into the movie? It's such a long movie.
Yeah, anyway, so we see Father Amort driving a Vespa, and it's June 4th, 1987, and there's a bunch of people outside a house and a pig, and they're like, this way, Padre. And I was like, oh, they're going to cast the demons into that pig, because that's a Bible thing.
It's definitely pig shadowing, yeah.
Anyway, they're like, the boy is showing signs of possession because he's speaking in English, which is a language he doesn't speak. He's like, yeah, does he have a television? And they're just like, yes.
The language of the devil, English.
And I, at that point, thought, I was like, oh, it's fake. He's learning it from television or whatever, and that's what's happening. But the movie's not clear on that until like 10 minutes later. And so for a hot second, I was like, so did TV possess him? Like, what?
I know, I literally wrote that down. I was like, did the TV possess the child? And then when they kill the pig, spoiler alert, I was like, okay, I guess that pig died to kill the devil. Because like in this, you have to like look at the world as like what is happening on screen is the world they actually live in, right?
Right. It's their Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, exactly. So like this is really happening in that world. So I wasn't like, oh, they just killed a pig for no reason, because in the world, exorcisms are real, demon possessions are real, all that shit. But like 10 minutes after that happens, they're like, no, we killed that pig for no fucking reason. It's fine.
We killed that pig for a feast the next day. But like, if we could also use it to freak that kid out.
Yeah.
Well, if a demon went into that pig, are you allowed to eat that pork?
Well, I mean, they are, because it is revealed that the pig is not demonized.
No, I think Mikey's asking,
but if
like,
it
in the
was-
event that a demon actually went into an animal. No, I don't think you are.
I don't
in
think
the
you
Bible,
are. Yeah.
In the Bible, those pigs run off a cliff.
I love a good spicy bacon.
Ooh.
I don't know if, like, hell's a little too spicy for me. Do you want your butthole to hurt for the rest of eternity?
Don't threaten me with a good time. Come on now.
Anyway, he tells the younger sister, keep praying. He gets everyone out of the house. And then he has what appears to be an exorcism, but he basically is like, so what's my name? Tell me my deepest, darkest sins. Like, use your demon powers.
I loved that when the kid was like, I'm possessed, he became Beyonce, and he was like, okay, bitch, say my name. And the kid was like, no.
When no one is around you, here's a pig I brought you.
I'm gonna shoot its face.
They shoot that pig with a shotgun.
In the face. We see it explode.
It's from like the top of the head.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
ba-bam.
It's
I was like,
brutal.
fuck.
Well, if you want your kid to behave, take a medium to large farm animal into their room while they're misbehaving and murder it in front of them.
And then be like, you clean it up.
Yeah, that's not going to traumatize them at all.
Nope, that's how you parent.
Oh, God.
Welcome back to Mikey's parenting tips.
Yeah.
Troubling. But this basically, they kill the pig and it's like, cut to the Vatican.
Yeah.
Like a month later, basically. Anyway, and also that one of the priests that was with him got like full blood splashback from that pig.
Oh, yeah.
He was not happy about it. Anyway,
Yeah.
July 1st, 1987, we cut to an American family driving through Spain. And the first line we get is so baffling to me because it's a mom, a teenage daughter, and a younger son. And the mom turns to the teenage daughter and says, you can't dress like that. There's going to be a bunch of construction workers there. And I'm like, first of all, how long have they been in the car? Secondly, did you not see what she was wearing when she got into the car? Like,
Paige,
what?
It takes a long time to drive from America to Spain. So yeah, they've been in the car a while. I also thought it was nuts that she said that, but like her daughter's wearing like shorts
She's
and
wearing
a t-shirt.
jeans and a baffling opening line. I was just like, what?
I mean, I've never been to Italy. Maybe Italian men are like more forward than American men, but like
100% are,
Okay.
but they're also in Spain, not Italy.
oh, that's right. Shit, I forgot. We're not in Rome right here. We're in Spain.
Yeah,
My
no.
bad. Yeah.
They're in,
España.
hey, trust. As someone who went to Italy as a teenager, they're very forward. It is terrifying.
But you went to Spain too. Maybe not as a teenager, but are they also forward?
No, I did
Okay.
not have the similar problem in Spain.
Okay. I did love that it smash cuts to the kids in the car. The son is listening to The Cult's Firewoman. And I was like, oh, I love that they smash cut to a band called The Cult in this movie. That's very
yeah.
funny to me. And I also just like really like that song.
The music in this is pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't really care about the family much in this film. You don't really learn enough to give a shit about any of these people.
Oh, their story, their backstory is fucking insane, Mikey. It makes no sense.
Yeah, but they don't even go into it that much. They're like, smash cut to the impaled father's face head.
Oh,
and then
shit.
it's like,
I was not expecting that. They're like, I wasn't scared by it, but it was like, I felt so bad for the child because he's just sitting in the backseat of the car looking up at his dad who has been impaled through the brain in the front seat.
Yes.
yeah, and then that child never interrupted an adult speaking for the rest of his life. You see?
Welcome back to Mikey's parenting tips.
Mikey's parenting tips. Here's my thing. They establish that the reason that they're there in Spain is because they have to refurbish this what used to be an abbey
Yes.
to then sell because it's the only thing their father left to them and they have no other money.
Right.
What?
So the father was from a family prominent and I'm assuming wealthy enough to own that abbey,
right.
but didn't have enough money to like provide the day-to-day. That seems crazy to me.
Well, and sell the abbey a while ago. Like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Well, in the headcanon, you could say that his family disowned them for marrying an American.
But made sure that he stood to inherit the abbey?
No, I think he already owned the abbey because they inherited it.
Okay.
They're like, you can have this crappy abbey where we buried a demon 200 years ago or whatever.
See, I thought they were going to do some tie-in where because the son in the movie was the descendant of the family that owned the ground.
Yeah.
That's
I
why.
thought about that
and
too,
they
but
didn't
it's
touch
not.
that at all.
Nope.
It was
No.
just the crazy story of giving a number to how many angels were cast out of heaven, a definitive number, which has like never been a thing. At least not in the canon that I am familiar with.
Well, that's because your canon started like in the 1500s. This canon started like 0 AD.
No.
So they've had time to write extra fan fiction on top of it.
First of all, this canon and similarly the one that I follow both start around 395 AD, like specifically.
I didn't realize you were Catholic.
I'm not, but we use the same book, Todd.
They have very different beliefs.
They do have very different beliefs,
Yeah.
but we base it on the same book.
No, I understand that, Paige. I'm just saying that like your branch didn't start in 1395. Your
No,
branch
but
started
when-
after Martin Luther's Reformation in the 1500s.
No, but if we're talking canon, which is the scripture, that's 395. That's when the Western translation.
Yes, that is when Constantine held the Council of Nicaea. I understand all of that. But
Right.
like that is not your like branch of the religion. Your branch didn't start until the 1500s, which is my point is that
Todd, this is.
But it's still the same Bible. It's just the Catholics added more books to it.
They have other stuff that's outside of it.
I know
that is not.
what I'm saying because they have been around since like 0 AD and they have been adding shit on top of that.
Right, but that's not technically scripture. That's not canon. It's the apocrypha.
That's why Lady Jane got killed, because she's like naming the scripture what you're doing.
I know.
That's like the whole thing.
I know.
Like, bitch, you gotta go.
But
We gotta burn your ass because you're a demon.
Cause that's why I'm like, you gave it a number. Where's the number from? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even remember that in the Apocrypha. Like, it's pulling from God only fucking knows where.
Not just a number, everyone. You guys are, okay. This is the argument. They pull a number, which is not in any scripture, and a map
Yes.
of the locations.
Yes.
There's like one in Antarctica, and I'm like, they didn't even know that existed. But this map, this very accurate modern world map, has all the locations of fallen angels.
The other thing too is even if you believe the section about fallen angels, which depending on the book you are using, only occurs in certain places and is very, very specific and is not. It's very vague because it's mostly part of Revelation, which is largely a metaphor for Rome.
Well, depending on what faith you belong to.
Right, exactly. But that always, regardless of which version you believe, happens before people get to the planet. Like, it's pre-people. So like the idea that it would be Pangea essentially, that like where it lands.
But now you're assuming these people believe in Pangea, Paige.
Most people do. They believe it got destroyed in the flood. Like that's pretty common.
Oh, is that what they think happened?
Yeah.
What?
That the flood happened and it broke up Pangea. Yes.
Hell yeah.
I can't wait till the Pope Exorcist plays with that dogma because that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Marty, we got to go back to Pangea to save the dinosaurs from creating oil.
That's what I meant in Lady Jane, where I was like, there's a wide variation of intelligent design beliefs, even among people who all use the same book, right?
You are literally proving the point that I made earlier, just saying right now. But we can move on.
But the point I was trying to make is same book. Everyone's referring to scriptures. They're pulling out this in scripture that is not. That's the thing. They're saying, hey, we found this in this book. And it's like, it's not in that book.
I mean, they probably added to the book over the way. I mean, you talked about the Apocrypha. They've added stuff to it. And that's what
different
Catholics believe.
books.
I know. It's like the Book of Mormon and the Pearl of Great Price and the Apocrypha and all the other books that were not put in at the Council of Nicaea. All of that shit. Like, all of that's out there. Well, that hasn't been lost to time.
Right. It is, but everyone kind of, at least Catholic and Protestant, tends to agree the Bible is the main one.
I know, but they have very different beliefs based on the same main Bible.
Yeah, the Bible is like the first Dune.
Well, but I mean, a lot of, and this is why in 1500 we broke off, because a lot of the things that are like beliefs have no basis.
I guess the best metaphor for this argument would be Lord of the Rings fans. Because if you're a Lord of the Rings, there's some people who just really love The Hobbit, which,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
I love The Hobbit. That's a great book. Very good. Then Lord of the Rings, very long about walking, all that stuff, but a big allegory, all that. And then, but then when you start talking to people who also like Lord of the Rings, they're going to bring in some crazy shit you never read or heard about.
They're like, Tom Bumblebill.
Yeah, from the Silmarillion, where they're like, that was a blah, 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 blah. And you're like, shut the fuck up.
Hold on. Yes. Well, especially if they're like, it
was compiled by his notes, and then his son published it, and I'm like, okay.
That is exactly it, Mikey. But it's almost as if someone was like, well, in the Fellowship of the Ring, it said that the Ents are all gay. And you're like, what? I don't remember that. And they're like, oh, it's in the Silmarillion. What? No. What? No. Wait, what are we talking about?
That's why they couldn't find any Ent wives, Mikey. They weren't even looking for them. They were going to the wrong Ent clubs. That's what it was.
Right. But like, that's what a lot of this movie feels like when they're like, this, and this. And I was like, I don't even think most Catholics believe that. Like, that's just completely from elsewhere.
Do you mean like the specific number?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, Todd.
The screenwriter just said, okay, there's no way that they're going to let us make 200 of these movies. So like, I'm just going to pick a number that's outside the number that we could ever feasibly get to so we can continue doing these forever.
But that's what I was saying. I was like, even Catholics don't think it's 200. It's not even in their book.
If you want to hear more of my religious theory, go to my website. I rip Satan balls off his ballsack.com.
Not out of his ball sack, off his ball sack.
Right.
.com. Like the sack is still there, droopy.org.
When I said it's not canon, that's what I mean. I mean, none of us are on board with it, regardless of book.
Yeah.
Including the book that was the earliest book.
Okay, next scene. I gotta mow the lawn today. I don't know if you guys know this, but people have argued about religious stuff like this for literally lots of time.
Yeah.
I need to go to Russell Crowe hitting on nuns now.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can we talk
he
about
does,
that?
because in this very next scene, we literally cut to the Vatican where he's like flirting with nuns.
It starts off with him flirting with nuns. He's like, cuckoo, and they like giggle and run away like this is high school.
What's his cuckoo thing? That's so creepy.
I don't know. Maybe it's because they're all a little crazy.
Well, that girl bites the head off the bird. I think he's got like a little bit of a thing.
Oh, where she goes full Ozzy Osbourne. I laughed out loud.
So did I. I was like, hell yeah.
I think I'd hook up with a nun.
I know a nun.
Oh,
okay, well,
Mikey.
I don't think she's interested in hooking up with you at all. She's more like married to Jesus. Like, that's her thing.
But Russell Crowe does hit on them, and they giggle like they're high school girls who have a crush on Russell Crowe, who's the quarterback of their Pope High School.
Yeah.
Or of St. John's, the Catholic school they go to.
But then he meets up with one of the other cardinals that's on, like, the council.
Yes.
And they start the craziest conversation where he's like, why didn't St. Michael kill Satan when he had the chance? And I was like, what?
And also, I can't wait till we get that fucking prequel. Like, that's going to be the best Rogue One-ing of this universe. And I'm so excited for it.
But it's another thing that I'm like, did anyone think that he could have killed? Like, even if you believe this.
Because I was like, I haven't read some of that stuff, but like, did he really have him speared to the ground or whatever they're talking about?
It's the dragon. It's like, but most people think that it'd be like Satan embodying a dragon, and Satan is more of a nebulous concept. So like, why? Like, the idea that one of the saints could have killed a being that is immortal and like, or at least less mortal than us, I guess, and has like an army of demons is crazy. Like, what?
I just want the prequel to this where like St. Michael is riding Drogon into battle against Satan, and then they have to like, I don't know, it just sounds awesome to me.
I just want him jumping through the air with that Spear 300 style. That's what I want.
It's going to be great.
But yeah, this is their water cooler talk. How bonkers.
You know, when you're at the water cooler flirting with the nuns that we treat like housemaids.
Oh, because they do, because nuns are not allowed to hold certain positions, and it's like a whole thing.
No,
it's
I mean
really
like
fucked
in
up.
the movie. I don't care about Catholicism in general, but like,
what positions
they do.
can't they hold? Know what I'm saying?
They're only allowed to hold missionary positions, Mikey.
Yeah.
But no, I mean,
but only alone.
I mean, I don't think a nun has a line of dialogue in this movie that is not a giggle.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Well, there you go.
But he responds with, well, I guess that's a theological question. And he's like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, no shit, we're at the Vatican.
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about?
I mean, my fear is that he thinks it also may have been a historical question, which is terrifying to me if they think that that actually happened.
Yeah, because I'm hearing this and I'm like, why didn't Spider-Man kill Galactus? So, like, what are you talking about? That's crazy.
I'm glad you're not the only one here that thinks like that, because like that is what it sounds like to me. Like it sounds like the reason the Ents can't find wives is because they keep going to Firestarter downtown, and that's not a straight Ent bar. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, that's my version, the 1500s version, ain't got saints. So.
Oh yeah, because you're only supposed to worship God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and because it's not in the canon, like
Well,
in the
that's what I
books.
mean. When I
So,
say
like,
supposed to, no, I don't believe any of that shit.
Yeah.
But like that's what is in the Bible. I've read the Bible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they are about to go into like a council, and we cut away. We don't know what it's for yet. We cut back to that house / abbey in Spain, where the local priest, Father Escobel, comes over to just be like, hi, welcoming you to the neighborhood. Please give us money, because that's usually how that goes.
Yeah, it definitely is. Oh, you own this entire abbey? You're good for a few $1,000s in donations, I'm sure.
Right. You might remember, as this used to be an abbey that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, do you think they could have just donated it back to the church and been like, this is your problem, I'm leaving?
Absolutely.
Because that's what I probably would have done.
But then they would have had no money.
That's true.
I think someone would have bought that immediately because it's a fucking castle on like 100 acres.
That is true. Like, I would have sold it sight unseen. I wouldn't even come to Spain. I'd have been like, yeah, just sell it and we'll take all that money, please.
Yeah.
I'd be like, sorry, kids, we're moving to a castle in Spain on 100 acres. Congratulations. We are Downton Abbey now.
We are landowners. No,
Yes.
the plan, I believe, I remember the mom saying something like they're going to fix it up and sell it and go back to America, right?
Yes. And to make it like nicer, to probably get a higher price.
That's what I thought. They're going to renovate
It's
it.
like 700 years old. Like, what? But also, there's a lot of forests around. So I would have gone back, cleared the forest, sold the lumber, taken that money, built it up. If I had enough money to operate it, you could make that's a lot of land. You could make a go of it.
That's some real Saruman vibes right there. Cut down all the trees, start industry. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard.
It would have grown back. We would have planted new ones. Okay. Sustainability.
Wait, Mikey, is this just your plan to start a Christmas tree farm in Spain?
Holy shit. Where do you have to live to start a Christmas tree farm? Can I just start one?
Mikey, start one in your backyard today. You're already going to mow the lawn. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I don't want to Google this while we're recording, but I have to write this down.
Okay. I think they would have fallen victim to the problem that most rich people have when they try to sell their houses, is that there's a limited amount of people who can afford houses like that. And so they actually don't sell. They sit on the market and they take a loss on them every year.
You could have just auctioned off all the priceless Catholic relics that were in the basement.
Oh, who wants this demon coffin?
Hey, I found the best Exorcist from 1440 during the Inquisition's
And he
body.
had a cool-ass staff. There's no way that cool-ass staff isn't worth a lot.
And a ring.
Uh-huh. Ring?
Hell yeah.
I don't know why he didn't take that ring.
He did take it, I thought.
I think he did take the ring.
He took the key from inside his stomach.
No, he took the ring first.
All right.
And he like put it in his pocket. Like he took it like where the camera didn't know all the I mean, like it's a real Father Amora thing to do there.
Oh yeah, because he's definitely lying about where that ring is. Like I don't know where that ring went.
What ring?
Meanwhile, it's
He had a ring?
meat pocketed. You know what I'm saying?
I love that his character does like minor sins so that like demons can bring him up later. Like, did you steal that ring? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, I did, bitch. What you gonna do about it? Because you afraid of me.
Also, I'm guzzling whiskey while we're doing like.
When he talks to the Pope later and they're like just like chit chatting because they're besties or whatever. He's like, you shouldn't be prideful. And he's like, yeah, pride or whatever. And they like have a laugh about how he's doing one of the 7 deadly sins on the regular with the Pope. I was like, this scene is like so anti-Catholicism in a very Catholic dogma heavy movie. I was like, I love it. This is amazing.
Well, I think it's more like the entertainment industry's stereotypes of Catholic dogma.
Oh, yeah.
And then a bunch of made up shit.
It's gotta be, right?
Yes. Yeah. Because like, here's the sad part. Actual Catholic dogma, pretty boring. A lot of the time.
Well, okay, but the understanding of Catholic dogma in this feels like it was written by a lazy atheist. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, it's like,
Yes.
yeah, there are
Yes,
like,
it
I don't know,
does.
fucking 200. I don't know what, there's 200 of them or whatever. Like, it feels very much like that.
Or 200. I don't know. Yeah, they can smell your fear. Like, whatever. Yeah, it looks like somebody who heard about exorcism was like, I'll take my best guess.
I'll figure it out.
Just wrote this movie. Anyway, we cut back to the castle where the teenage daughter, Amy, has grabbed a cigarette from a construction worker and is making her mom mad by smoking in this very old abbey. And as she's kind of like finding her room, and the younger brother who doesn't speak, Henry, is kind of finding his room, she hears this knock on the bathroom wall, and it's Henry in a mask knocking, and she kind of knocks back.
Yeah. It's shave and a haircut.
2 bits.
Yeah. Which, okay, so what you hear is the shave and a haircut part, and you hear her knock back the last time 2 bits, which I was like, okay, so if this is the devil, the shave and a haircut part is like asking you to participate in this known thing,
to answer back.
And then she answered back, and I was like, I actually sort of like that if she sold her soul for, quote, 2 bits
2
there,
bits.
right?
Yeah.
Which is also how they got Roger Rabbit.
I know. I was thinking the same thing, because the brother knocks and then he walks away and we hear the knock one more time and she answers back. And I was like, I don't know that was the brother.
Yeah.
But then the movie never explores that.
But 2 bits is an indication of money. That's the reason I was like, I like that they're incorporating
100%.
this.
Yes.
Because that would be like 50 cents. A bit is a quarter.
Yeah.
So like, I like that they did that, but like, they don't use that.
They don't do anything
with
it.
Kid,
Yes.
It's the son that gets possessed. Although I guess she gets Evil Dead possessed at the end. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they focus on the son. Yeah.
I thought for sure it was going to be her because of that.
Me too.
Because I was like, oh, she responded. She answered the call. But then that's not the call. It's just her brother. And this movie does this a lot, where it sets up something that could be really cool and really interesting and different, and then it does nothing with it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of maddening if the movie wasn't also so hilariously nuts.
It just doesn't focus on the victims at all.
It doesn't. It just focuses on Russell Crowe.
Which is what I'm here for, so, whatever.
Well, so does The Conjuring, with Ed and Lorraine. So, like...
Oh, this is very much a religious superhero movie. It is.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like, I'm here for that. Horror is really the only genre where we still get, like, religious superhero movies. And it's great.
Yes.
Well, you need to come back over to the Hallmark Network, friend.
Well, once you build your Christmas tree farm in Spain, we'll definitely do that. Mikey, I have a question for you. So, like, if you were living in this universe, right? And Russell Crowe's character called you and was like, hey, you're a mental health expert. Will you come work at this Vatican exorcism program to help us determine who is actually possessed and who is not? You take that job in a heartbeat, right?
I mean, what you're describing is Catholic X-Files, and I would be Scully.
All right. I'm cutting this out. We are now writing Catholic X-Files. And listen, as the lazy atheist, I feel like I should write it.
Well, the end of this movie seems like it's going to become Catholic X-Files.
I know.
With him and the other priest, and I'm here for
Get
it.
Gillian Anderson on the case. We need a good representation of a nun in the next movie.
It's the girl from Pray for the Devil. It's Mulder and Scully.
That is perfect. Yes. Paige. And then they fall in love. Not Russell Crowe. He's not age appropriate. I mean, the priest who we know fuck ladies.
Maybe this is just me, but Pray for the Devil seemed queer coded. I didn't think she was straight.
You know what, Paige?
Right?
I could see that a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't think so. It doesn't definitively say one way or the other. I don't know. Anyway, so the construction crew's doing work in the basement, and they've told the mom, they're like, yeah, it's going to cost more. We found some weird shit down there. But it sounds like it's just like electrical or whatever. And they walk through, it's 2 construction workers walking through this like basement tunnel, and they pass a set of like 3 glass orbs, like the ones from Labyrinth.
Labyrinth, yeah.
And we never talk about it. They just pat, and I'm like, well, it's just fucking orbs around? Like, what? But so they walk down, and they see that there's a hole in the brick.
We also saw the son look through that earlier. Right.
Yeah.
But this is when the construction workers look through it. Is that when they like light a cigarette or whatever, and then it like flame copters one of them back into the wall?
Yep.
I was like, what is there, a gas leak?
Yep.
But it wasn't gas. It was the devil.
Well, it's truly the highest glory hole.
God damn it. That is a perfect joke. Yes.
Well, and so we'll get to that in a second. They're still kind of discovering it. It hasn't exploded yet.
Sorry. Yeah.
Just because these scenes cut back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So back to the Vatican. He is on his Vespa. He shows up. He's there for that council meeting, which is kind of funny because it like shows him at the Vatican talking to that guy, but then it also shows him arriving at the Vatican again. And I was like, who storyboarded this?
I thought they were trying to set up that it was a different day. But
it is a different day. But I'm like, why? Then why did we have the...
But none of that matters. Like, I don't need those timelines to be exact. Like, I don't need to know that this is happening at the same time that is happening. You know, like, I don't care.
Right.
They're in two different countries. It's fine.
Yeah, I think they're trying to do it like The Exorcist, but also like Pray for the Devil, where it's like tracking. Anyway, he shows up and they're like, you know, do you want a cappuccino? He's like, at this time of day? Fucking disgusting. I'll have a double espresso, please. I was like, all right.
I'll have a double espresso. None, who is our housemaid for no reason.
Well, and she's like, sugar? And he's like, no, sugar's the work of the devil. And I was like, wow. For what we see him do later with the whole like whiskey and everything, I'm like, I think he just says shit to get a rise out of people sometimes.
Yeah, he is like if Bart Simpson grew up and became the Pope's exorcist, and I love it.
Yes.
Bart Simpson would make a good exorcist.
Eat my sins.
Cowabunga, dude. So the board is just like, how dare you shoot a pig?
And they're like, have you never had bacon? Calm down, young cardinal.
Yeah. And it is a young American cardinal, too. It's very much like new school, old school, where because he wants to conduct the meeting in Italian, and they're like, it'll be conducted in English, please. And I was just like, that does sound like us.
It does. And this, like, cardinal also has, like, definitely thinks Neil deGrasse Tyson has some right, like, views kind of vibes.
Same.
And I don't think that would go over well on this council. That's my point.
Yeah. The Catholic Church is in a weird position where, like, a bunch of people are just like, hey, modern, let's modernize.
Yeah.
And other people are just like, you can pry it from my cold dead hands. And you're like, okay, well, wait 3 weeks.
It's a super interesting time to be alive because as science like dispels some of religion's myths and like pries that kind of stuff back into like the realm of the known from the unknown, like it is fun to watch very religious organizations' reaction to that.
Yeah, well, and I'm one of those people that's of the belief that's like, hey, when science tells us stuff, that's what it is because we tested it.
I also I am the kind of atheist that like really hopes Christianity's right because like that would be great if there was an afterlife. But also like I don't think science and God have to be like exclusive of each other.
No.
Same. 100%.
Knowing how something works doesn't answer the question of why something works.
Yeah, exactly. You can break down someone to the DNA level. I don't know what gives you the spark of life.
Yeah.
So there's still so many unanswered questions. Like, I don't know. I feel like it is something that could peacefully exist, you know, science and religion.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been grappling with, does the existence of aliens change my religious beliefs at all? And I don't think it does, because I feel like if you could do it on one planet, you could do it on others.
Somebody knocked on my door. I'll be right back.
Okay.
That scared the shit out of me.
Listeners did not see that, but Mikey tightened up like someone unexpectedly put a finger in his butthole during sex.
That was wild.
Yeah.
That dude had a police type knock where it was like bop, 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 and it scared me.
Mikey's got priors, Paige. I ain't going back to jail.
Anyway, so back to this movie. So the council is just like we want new stuff and we don't like that you're exercising. You know, maybe that's the whole black coffee thing and no sugar, but whatever.
But then like Russell Crowe's character is like, well, I don't like this newfound thing you believe in called science, so fuck off.
Well, but that's the thing. Even in this scene, he's like, only 2% of them were actually possessed. The rest of them I just refer to doctors and psychiatrists. And even he says it's like, it's theater, which is the whole premise of Last Exorcism, which is why it's my favorite exorcism movie.
Yeah.
Although I do like the original Exorcist as well, now that we've watched it. But it's this whole thing of like, hey, sometimes we're just tricking people into believing they're well. It's the placebo effect, essentially.
Yeah. Or they actually are experiencing a mental health crisis and they're not demon possessed, right? Like, you're just getting them the help they actually need.
Right. But then he continues and he's like, look, I'm not a doctor, but I am a theologian and a journalist and a lawyer and a scrapbooker and a bird watcher and also a fan of Miley Cyrus.
Drinker of wine. daughters. Like, what are we doing? We're just like labeling everything we do as like a profession now. Russell Crowe.
Yeah, I was just like, what is this? Jazzerciser, visitor of many gift shops,
arborist. Like, what are we doing? Yeah, I plant the trees that grow the wood of the cross.
Crucifix enthusiast. Anyway, he's like, yeah, so, I may not be a doctor, but I've done a lot of research, so whatever.
Yeah, like, shut up, nerd.
You're not an arborist.
Gotta put on the arbor of God.
Jesus Christ!
I know exactly what reference you're making, Paige. How dare you keep laughing while I'm talking to you? The specific reference is the guy who like crunks for Christ.
I follow him on Instagram now, and it's my favorite thing because he's like, today we're cooking burgers. Jesus Christ! If we look at, he's like, put the cheese on, and he does it for everything.
I know.
Like he's got songs. He's like,
I think you mean Psalms, Paige.
no, rap songs. And they are not good. He just every few seconds, Jesus Christ, we love you, God. And I love it. It cracks me up.
It's like he has the most specific type of voluntary Tourette's I've ever seen.
I think that might be it, though. Like, I think it might be Tourette's? Some. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It just, he can't help himself from praising the Lord. And hey, admirable.
I respect the grind.
But yeah, the Pope's arborist, Jesus Christ.
So funny. I loved it.
Anyway, the board is just like, yeah, so we want to take your job. We don't need a chief exorcist. He's like, so are you saying evil doesn't exist? They're like, that's absolutely not what we said.
I know. But like, that is what a toxic boyfriend would say if the girlfriend was saying like, hey, maybe you don't need to spend so much time fighting, quote, demons.
Hey, maybe Roxanne is the one that's full of shit.
How dare you start talking about the ultimatum before we record that bonus episode, babe?
Bonus episode.
We can't talk about it till then.
But he's just like, what are we even doing here if we're not exorcising people?
But he does take a leap of faith from like exorcisms aren't real, and then Russell Crowe responds like, "Oh, are you saying God doesn't exist, you little bitch?"
See what God says about that in the octagon. And he's just like, no, I was appointed by my bishop. My diocese is Rome, which means my bishop is the fucking Pope. So you can talk to my boss if you have a complaint about my work history. It's just crazy.
I thought it was awesome, though, because this is like, he's not yet being reprimanded by the police chief in this cop movie, but like the public board that oversees the police called this sergeant in to yell at him. And he's just like, fuck you, I know the chief. Y'all can eat my dick. I'm out.
You don't know what the streets are like.
Exactly. You don't think crime exists? Like, that's the vibe. Yeah, I love it.
This was where I felt like you get into the like union rules of Catholicism, because of just like, in our handbook it says, you're like, okay, and he's like, well, I want to speak to my rep, the fucking Pope. Heard of him? And you're like, okay.
He's like, I donate to the Fraternal Order of Priests every year, okay?
Priests.
Where's my union lawyer?
That's exactly what it felt like.
He was like, my local bishop is the Pope. Y'all can fuck off.
Yeah. Bishop's Order 243, Pope City. And also, I need mandated espresso breaks. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, they're like, the Pope is sick. And he's like, oh, is he? But we cut away from him being like, they're like, the Pope is sick. Sick. And he's just like, we'll see about that. And I was like, oh, is he suddenly a doctor again?
He's everything else, Paige. He might as well be.
Pornographer. Stenographer.
He's like, I'm a husband to a murdered wife, a father to a murdered child. Isn't that what he says? Isn't that what he says in Gladiator right before he kills him, right? Love it.
And then he finishes it up with like, I'm a bitch. I'm a lover. I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. Anyway, we cut back to the castle house thing, Mojo Dojo Casa House, and
Mojo Dojo Abbey House.
Yeah, Abbey House.
Which is really just like one long, big like room,
right?
And then a room off of that room. And that is the entire set that we're living in. Yeah.
Yeah. We cut to the kid who Henry has fallen asleep listening to heavy metal music.
Hell yeah.
The mom comes in, takes the headphones off, and his eyes pop open because he's already looked through that little brick and been exposed to the devil basement.
Yeah, because all in all, he saw that demon in the wall.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Mikey got a music joke.
I like it.
But we cut to construction workers down there. I'm guessing the next day.
It's gotta be.
It's touch and go with time in this movie.
It is, but I assume they saw the problem and they were like, this is above our pay grade. So they called in someone who could like deal with that issue. And that was the next day that guy came down.
They're like, we saw the seal of the Vatican down here and we need to call in an arborist.
Okay, we've been saying arborist a lot. And I honestly think that Mikey, when you go to Spain to build your Christmas tree farm, you should be the Pope's arborist.
I'm down with that. It takes 7 years to grow but sometimes 4 years, but sometimes 7 years to grow.
I like that you researched this
foot.
when you went to the bathroom to take a shit.
No, he's been researching this the entire time we've been recording this episode, Paige.
I'm so sorry.
Todd and I had a great conversation about like the power of positive thinking and self-improvement seminars and early Mormonism.
Yeah, and also science fiction of the time, but yeah.
And also science fiction of the time, chaos, magic, intentionality, The Secret, you get it. But
and
like,
Mikey was like, how long does it take to make a Christmas tree farm?
How long till I get Christmas tree? Will I get a girl to move from the big city?
No, that's not all I want. I really do want, coming this Christmas to the Hallmark Channel, Mikey in Spain meeting the love of his life who has just come on her vacation from the big city, and he is the Pope's arborist. This is consecrated ground that grows all the wood that every cross Catholicism makes is grown on. Coming this December, the Pope's arborist.
Do you hear the whispers? The whispers of the poinsettias? They're telling me that Jesus Christ wants me to be with you. The Pope's arborist. Do you just cut trees into topiaries of saints?
They grow that way naturally.
Oh, that's how you know it's a miracle. All of his toast just has like burned leaves into it.
Instead of like Mary, instead of like...
Yeah.
Why does his toast look like a Canadian flag?
Just add maple syrup.
All right, let's move on. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. They go down to the hole and they light a flare and it just immediately just super explodes. They end up in an ambulance and the contractor's like, I'm pulling my entire team. You're on your own, lady. Enjoy that gas leak. Which like, what if this entire thing is just the gas leak?
And they're just like slowly hallucinating as their abbey fills up with like propane.
Yeah.
It's a weather balloon.
Anyway, the fire happens. The kid is instantly possessed.
I think he was possessed before because he was listening to heavy metal music.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's how you know. Because it's the 80s and this is full satanic panic bullshit.
It is for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. She walks up on him when he's sleeping. Be my Frankenstein. Man, I don't know if he's possessed or just fucking rad.
It's both, Paige.
It's both. Breaking the law.
Hey, that guy was a priest.
I know.
A Judas priest.
Anyway, so kid's possessed. Teenage daughter screaming about it. Mom comes running in and he's like talking where he's like, Mommy. And she's like, oh my God, he spoke because he hasn't spoken for like a year. And then he just goes full Evil Dead and he's just like, you're all going to die. And then scratches down his face. And I was just like, no.
Yeah.
Creepy.
It was creepy.
But we immediately cut to the hospital because she's a pretty good mom and it's just like clearly something medical is going on.
Yes.
Let's try hospitals, psychiatrists, everything first. Brain scans.
And we do see when the Vatican gets his medical folder, which I have some issues with, but like, I don't know if that's allowed. But
I don't know what HIPAA is like overseas.
Yeah, I have no idea if Spain has a HIPAA, but they should. They should not be sharing it with the clergy. Either way.
She could have filled out a release of information for the Vatican.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, yes, that could have happened. Maybe they did a FOIA request for his medical records. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But my only point was they actually do a CT scan. You can see it in that folder. Yeah. So like they're like checking for tumors or whatever, like shit like that.
It's not a tumor.
It's not.
It's not. But they're like, has anything bad happened to him? Like, could this be a mental wellness issue.
And she's like, yeah, something bad happened. And they're like, what? And she goes, it's like the worst thing that could ever happen to a child ever. Let me explain it and show it to you.
She doesn't tell them at this point. She just says his dad died a year ago and he hasn't spoken since. That's all she says to them. It's later to the priest she tells and shows it.
Fuck, yeah.
But the doctors who are in Spanish are just like, psychosis. Like we need to refer him to a psychiatrist, which we never see. Like they talk about the fact that she does take him, but we just don't see it. But this is very much borrowed from the original Exorcist.
Yes.
Where they spend a ton of time like examining all the medical implications with that terrible medical procedure, like all of it, you know?
I think the way The Exorcist handles it is much funnier, though, because they like really talk down to Reagan's mom, like the doctors do. And we don't get that in this. But man, that scene made me laugh in The Exorcist. Yeah,
well, because it's so obvious that so many things are going wrong, and they're just like, I don't know, but you definitely don't know, little lady.
Exactly.
Like, you assholes.
Yeah.
So they do literally just hand her a sedative where they're like, if he gets too antsy.
No, not even that. They're like, oh, he's got trauma. It's gotta be psychosis. Here, sedate him.
Just knock him out.
I was like, oh yeah, mental health care really come a long way.
Yeah. Well, and this is I guess this is supposed to be 87. So 35 years ago. We cut back to the house where she's trying to call the American consulate to be like, we need a specialist. We need someone to see him. And she's, striking out. But his sister, and the amount of time she leaves the teenage sister alone with a kid clearly at minimum experiencing a traumatic psychological event is wild to me.
Yeah.
That she's just like, yeah, you take care of him.
Single parent life.
She's a teenager.
She's like, I'm a single mother trying to restore this abbey and get this family moving forward. You got to take care of your possessed brother. Girl boss.
Yep.
Hashtag girl boss.
Hashtag girl boss. So the lights go out. So the sister goes down to the basement to the breaker and she's like, fuck this. This place is fucking terrifying. But as she's flipping the breaker back on, this is where the mom sits down with Henry, hugs him because she still thinks he's a child and not a demon. And this is where it grabs her boobs and he's like, you never breastfed me. Bring me the priest. And it's like, what? Is he gonna breastfeed you? But so they bring the local priest, the father that came to like welcome them to the abbey.
The one who gets a very big promotion at the end of this movie.
Yeah. Tomas.
Yeah.
And Tomas shows up and is just like, hi, what seems to be ailing you? And he just goes, wrong fucking priest, and throws him out of the room through an armoire. And the fact that he has no injuries from that for the rest of the movie, bonkers.
He's a really in shape dude. He gets thrown around a lot.
He does. Yeah. But like the mother's head gets bashed through a porcelain sink and she's fine.
I was like, I was like, she's fully dead.
Yeah.
Nope. Alive.
Your head would be caved in if it hit that hard.
Yes.
The color and composition of that sink was eggshell. That's fine. I went for it. That's fine.
I loved it.
You did. And I respect it.
I've turned in the bathroom again. I'm so sorry. My stomach hurts. I'm so sorry.
Mikey lost another potluck, apparently.
Mikey lost it. Anyway, cut back to the Vatican where Russell Crowe goes to see the Pope. And the Pope is just like, he's like, hey, I heard you're sick. And the Pope is like, they want to see me sick. And I was like, oh, all right.
And then he's like, help me up from this kneeling position. I'm so feeble. Yeah, you're sick, Pope.
Yeah. And then he goes right into like, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is this boy in Spain.
Man, Pope, 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 Pope,
Catholic things, demon stuff, exercise, evil.
I think it's the first secret mission a priest has been sent on about a boy in Spain. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry, I slipped into Simlish for a second. Anyways, but he's like, there's a great evil coming from there only you can help solve. Kind of like a video game when they're like, your quest.
It is exactly the Mission Impossible like repipe before they actually go to do the mission. Like that is the purpose of this.
Yes. Almost like the Pope is an NPC that just serves to give you entrances to the temple and Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. Anyway, he then Vespas all the way to España.
Which would be 18 hours on the back of a Vespa. Like, it's not an 18-hour drive where you, like, take your time and go sightseeing. Like, it's 18 hours ass on Vespa. Like, that would be the most uncomfortable ride ever.
Vespa's a top 10 transportation device to get you closer to God.
How do you think you get to heaven? On the back of a Vespa. Drive away from here.
Here's the problem, though. There's a stairway to heaven. You're going to have to walk it all the way up. Back to this movie. He shows up at the abbey. The garden is dead. And he notices a weird well in the middle of it. And he's just like, this garden is gross.
No, he's like, oh, I've seen the ring. We're definitely going in that thing.
We're definitely going in that thing.
Yeah.
You all got any horses? Or a creepy little girl?
Good thing I brought my Vespa with towing capabilities so I could pull the stone off the top of that.
So crazy. But so the priest comes out to meet him. He's just like, hi, can I help you? And he's like, hi, I'm the Pope's exorcist. And this priest is just like, oh my God, I can't believe they sent you. Oh my God. I'm such a big fan. He's like, oh, did you read my books? He's like, no.
Have you read my book? I ripped Satan's toes off and shoved him up his ass and then shit on him. And then I said, fuck you, Satan, comma, the Father Aaron story.
Anyway, they go inside and the priest is just like, holy shit. You won't believe. Coming to the stage next, he's exorcised all over.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Vatican, weighing 215 pounds and 6'3".
Oh, God.
Father, I love it when you call me Big Papa Amort.
Oh, notorious.
Notorious. Yeah.
It's a me. I'd murdered Satan.
If Satan dies, he dies.
Paige, why do you think Saint Michael did not piss in Satan's mouth while he had him on the ground?
Oh, you're asking theological questions now, Mikey.
Why you think Satan no tap out in the fight with Saint Michael?
Why did Saint Michael just teabag him and not kill him?
He wanted a split decision. Anyway, so he shows up and the mom is just like, what the fuck is happening? Why did the Vatican send somebody? And he's like, hey, doctors have not been able to give you any answers, right? Let me talk to your son and I'll just give you my opinion and then you can do with that information what you want.
Yeah.
So he goes upstairs and Henry seems to be asleep. So he sets down his box. And this is my favorite part of modern exorcism movies where they treat exorcists like vampire hunters, where they're just like, let's get the kit. It's like a golden magical amulet. And I was like, that's a new one. Like, I haven't seen that one at all.
I love that, like, one of the tools against the devil was showing it your coin collection. I was like, hell yeah, this is nuts.
It's a special coin, bro.
It's a special coin with ancient Roman, not like post-Catholicism Rome, like
right, like Roman,
like pagan Rome, like etchings on it. So, like, explain that away, Vatican.
Oh, who the fuck knows? My favorite is he's got a bunch of little bottles of stuff that in theory are probably like anointing oils and holy water or whatever, but one of them is definitely vanilla extract. It's the like McCormick like brown bottle, red cap vanilla extract. I was dying. I was laughing so hard. I was like, man, Props was really sleeping on this one.
They were like, no, sometimes he's going to need to, like, exorcise a demon. Sometimes he's going to need to make pudding. And he's got to be prepared.
Yeah. Sometimes chocolate chip cookies, sometimes the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Like, you never know what's going to happen. An exorcist has to be prepared for everything. You know what hell is? A giant oven.
Yeah.
Pizza oven, because it's Italian.
Anyway, so he grabs a chair and he starts praying and the kid's eyes get all creepy and he's like, prayers are worthless here. And then he's like, okay, but how about this coin? And his eyes split into double, which is a cool effect.
The Sauron eyes or whatever? Yeah. It was very cool. Yeah.
Yep.
No, man. He finally accepted the dark side. He's a Sith Lord. Those are Sith Lord eyes.
So does he get a double lightsaber? Like, is that in the kit?
That would be great.
He's like, you shall not pass. Like the lightsaber, like charge up noise.
Yes.
Yeah. If the end of this was just like somebody cut in the fight with Darth Maul, and he's like, I'll fight you, Satan. Like I would love
Just
it.
drop in Duel of the Fates at the end for the soundtrack. Yeah, I'm here for it. I mean, it sounds vaguely religious. Like, I mean, you could get away with it.
It does. You could absolutely get away with it. If he was lightsaber fighting the Virgin Mary down in that basement to Duel of the Fates, holy shit. I'd be like, this movie has everything.
Paige, I'm definitely cutting this out because that's going to be in our possession movie. For sure.
And she just shows up like, "Vroom, be not afraid." And you're like, oh! People need to be, you gotta be less afraid to go really weird with it.
I mean, honestly, what we are pitching is a horror Ready Player One possession movie that like just super steals from all pop culture and just has a fun like little romp with it. And I'm here for it.
Love it.
Oh, you mean like Zack Snyder's new movie, Rebel Moon?
I don't know what that is.
It's his new film, and it looks like a mix between Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and Dune all together, and it just steals vast things from it, or it has the same kind of style.
Cool.
Anyway, so the kid, it has creepy eyes, and he's like, your prayers are worthless here. And he's like, who are you? And he's like, I am your demise. I am your nightmare. And I was like, this sounds like it's going to kick off into a kick-ass guitar riff. Just crazy train. Just,
I do like that demons and priests talk to each other a lot, like WWF wrestling or whatever. Like they have to like film promos in front of each other, and I'm like, what? Can we just get to it?
Oh, Father, I'm gonna drag you down to hell.
I know your sins, and I will name them. You are trash.
yeah, you think you could name my sins? I'll see you in the square and circle. I got a chair with your name on it. Like that guy.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, he's like, God's not here. And he's like, God is everywhere. I was like, yeah, you should never be like, God's not here. Because they always have like that comeback for it.
Should have seen that coming, demon. I mean, at this point, it's just clear that Russell Crowe is sort of like approaching this the way he approached the pig murder from the very beginning, right? He doesn't really believe there's a possession going on, just like he's putting on the show, right?
Right.
It hasn't hit the, oh shit, this is real for him yet.
Right. And so he's even like, oh, my nightmare is France winning the World Cup. And the demon's just like, prideful fool, Gabriel, I know your nightmares too. And we see the war where all of his friends were shot by soldiers and he's playing dead to stay alive.
Yeah, he's doing absolutely the right thing to do in that situation that he feels guilty for later. Yeah.
Yep. And the demon is saying the same thing that the German soldier said. And then the demon barfs up a dead bird. And I was just like, damn.
Just like a cat.
The most evil of animals.
Cats make terrible noises when they cough stuff up.
They do. He like retches up a hairball, but the hairball turns out to be a bird.
He's like, I got something for you. I don't want to make Todd throw up again with my vomit noises.
Yeah, please don't do that. Yeah.
Todd.
One of my favorite online videos is just cats barfing set to dubstep.
I didn't even have my headphones on and I heard you say that, made me laugh. Shit. All right, I'm back.
Todd, your gag reflex is too strong to be a sexual dynamo. That's all I'm saying.
What?
And listen, I'm not. What am I, sucking on toes, Mikey? Like,
are you not?
Are you not sucking on toes?
Yeah,
listen,
what is wrong
I
with
did
you?
openly admit I'm not a sexual dynamo just now. Like,
Hey man, toes are the new tentacles.
oh, Paige, no, I'm not into feet.
What are toes if not nubby tentacles?
Yeah.
Todd, you ever fuck an octopus?
He's not Tom Cruise.
Holy shit. I forgot about that. For a movie that I loved, we are getting off topic so much. This is like how off topic we were talking about My Father the Hero, guys.
Oh God, that movie.
And this movie slaps.
Does it?
Yes.
Yes. So the demon is just like, your sins will seek you out. And he's just like, I'm okay.
I hope so. Daddy has been lonely. You know what I'm saying?
That's the other priest.
Oh, yeah. That'd be me. I'm like, me? Ghosting people? What? Demon?
Well, and then, so he goes up to the other priest. He's like, cool, you're my new helper. What do you know about demons? And he's like, they're bad.
Okay, so when he asked him that, and he says they're bad, and like it it's very clear he doesn't know how to answer. This is when Russell Crowe's character should have been like, you should have read the fucking books.
Yeah. Damn it.
They're good.
Well, and he goes into, he's like, so there's a demon hierarchy and each one answers to the next one. I was like, again, okay, but this is all part of the Marvelization of it, of like, we have to fight bosses.
Yeah, and listen, I personally do believe in that because if you look at like the hierarchy of the demonology chart, it does pretty much exactly mirror the hierarchy that shows up in like capitalistic business structures, right? So like, I'm not saying the CEO of hell is Satan, but like he's definitely on the board of directors. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that sort of setup.
Or, hear me out, is he like the Ronald McDonald of evil? Just a spokesperson. And like the real people we don't even know about.
Yes.
It's just the Koch brothers down there.
That's honestly way scarier to me, right? Because like, oh shit, we're only looking at like the jester of hell. So like, what is the big bad of hell like?
Like, oh, Hamburglar is Legion or whatever. Like, you don't even know the real evil out there.
Rabble, motherfuckers. Like,
and he's like, I just report to Dick Cheney. You're just like, oh no.
Halliburton. Mayor McCheese is a puppet leader. He's bought and sold by the real people in charge.
Yeah, that's why I'll never go back to McDonald's.
I wish I had time to do a fake conspiracy theory podcast.
Mikey, yes. I will produce that.
Can I write it?
Yes.
Yeah. I want Todd to design the background that just has like images pop up, and I just want to go on 30-minute rants of things that don't exist.
Fuck yes. Okay. Write that down, Mikey.
I want to do the terrible Photoshop.
Yes.
Like the bad.
Yeah.
Like the stuff I do for Cult Podcast live shows where I'm like, I'll just Photoshop this picture of a big gulp over a dick. Duh.
If I had time for comedy, I think I could do like a Colbert-esque, like Alex Jones.
That is the most pretentious thing I've ever heard Mikey say. If I had time for comedy.
Well, like, think how much you would have to put a lot of effort into a project like that.
Oh, Mikey, there's no way I would actually produce that because it would be a fucking nightmare. I already had to produce the Patreonicals, which are the same thing. Then yes, it's a nightmare.
I would be more worried that people believed it.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Big government doesn't want you to believe that Mayor McCheese is in Satan's pocket, but he is.
I honestly think I heard Alex Jones talk about this.
People are saying it.
Oh my God. You can have fake guests.
Can I be the alien lady from the History Channel that they always call that one same lady?
I have a pitch for a show.
Okay.
It's a comedy improv podcast where Mikey is an Alex Jones figure, and every week he brings on one of us or like Mondo or like Blaine or like our friends that do improv, right? And and it's just them talking about like made up conspiracies that they're improving in the moment. That is a podcast. Fuck yeah.
It wouldn't be improv. I really believe that Mayor McCheese is in the pocket of big government.
Good night.
Guys, this episode's already at the 2-hour, 12-minute mark, and we're not even halfway through the movie.
Yeah, I know, but part of that was shitting. So
I've done it twice
during this recording,
which is not normal for me. I don't feel good. It's because Grimace is putting chemicals in my water,
making the frogs gay.
Mine would be dumber. It'd be like, Grimace is putting chemicals in the groundwater. It's making the lemurs straight.
Because we know all lemurs are actually gay.
It's in their nature. Okay, anyway, so Russell Crowe's just like, he's under the influence of a powerful demon. We gotta fucking fuck some shit up, but first we gotta ask some questions. So he goes to the mom. He's like, did anything happen to Henry? And she's like, yeah, he survived the car accident that killed his father and saw his dad impaled through the brain. And then we cut to it.
Oh, this actually sort of scared me. It not scared me so much as I was like, oh God, like it's pretty graphic.
It's real graphic and terrifying. And he comes back with like, ooh, okay, well, I'm never gonna give you up. I'm gonna work till he's fine. So he's like, suffering makes souls desperate, which is also a thing in Pray for the Devil, where it's like guilt and suffering invites demons in. I was like, that's a wild thing to say, but okay, sure, fine, whatever.
It's because people who experience traumas like that also start to question things like religion, and they start to leave, and they start to like, deal with their actual trauma in a way outside of the church. And that can seem like having a demon if you're still inside the church.
So I'll take it from the flip side. People are most susceptible to cults in those times because they're looking for something that can make them feel better tangibly. So like, it's not even so much outside the church as much as it's like, I'm looking for anything.
Yeah, because if you're experiencing that, you're looking for answers. And some people get more into their faith during that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like everyone reacts differently to trauma. And some people skew to religious and some skew out of religion. It's all over the place.
Yeah, I just think it's weird that both this and that other movie were just like, that's where demons come from. I was like, wow, okay. Way to kind of demonize someone processing grief.
Way to punch down, demons. Way to punch down.
Yeah, way to punch down, demons. How dare you?
Well, they always do because they're very tall.
I would think they punch up because it's like hell.
It's from hell.
Yeah.
Unless your conspiracy theory is that hell is up.
And heaven's down. We've been lied to the whole time.
Anyway, so he's like, did you ever believe? And the mom's like, I used to think I had a guardian angel that walked me to school. And he's like, pray to that angel. And I was like, what? And then we never hear about it again.
I'm pretty sure that's like the opposite of what you're supposed to do, right? Aren't you only supposed to pray to God or whatever?
Yes. That's a whole well, it's the whole Protestant thing.
I know. Pray to the saints and all those people, yeah.
But listen, if I'm in the Tower of London, I'll believe whatever they want me to believe. I don't give a shit. Like, yeah. You're not going to Lady Jane me.
They're going to be like, what are the benedictions? And I'm like, I'll benedict whatever the fuck you want, my friend.
I'll benedict you down to get out of this jail cell.
Yep.
I don't want you to cut my head off.
Exactly.
That's my favorite part of my head.
Anyway, so we cut to later that night. The teenage daughter hears the knock again, which is why I thought they were going to bring it back, but then they didn't. She goes to check on her brother. He's asleep, but then he sits up. He's got the red eyes, and she's like, oh shit, no, he's possessed. So she runs. The phone rings. She answers it. It's her dad's voice, and then it's the demon saying, you're all going to die. And so she runs downstairs into this conversation we just left with the priest and everybody. And she's like, we're all going to die. What are we going to do? And at this point, Russell Crowe's like, we need coffee because demons get stronger at night like vampires. And you're like, all right, okay.
And he's also like, do you know any jokes? Because demons fucking hate jokes.
Wild. Oh, and this is also where he's like, confess your sins because the demons can smell them. I was like, smell them? Like, okay.
We have to talk a little bit about how demons hate jokes.
Yes.
Just because if you're in the LA area and you want to be demon free on September 24th, come to Flappers.
There you go.
At 5 p.m. for our live show.
Yes.
I promise you there will be no demons there because they hate jokes.
No demons because they haven't bought tickets yet. There are a handful of tickets still left.
Not many though.
Not many though. So if you were thinking of buying them, try to do it as soon as possible. It seems very likely it will sell out.
If it sells out, I'll take my shirt off.
Oh shit.
My God. Is that a real thing? Hang on.
During the show or on Instagram?
During the show.
Okay, but you got to let me put crazy fake tattoos on you or write something weird on your chest.
Yes.
Or both.
Guys, come to our live show. See Mikey topless.
Anyway, so he goes to give the other priest his confession, and the priest is like, it's been 8 months. And I was like, whoa, dude, like, that's a long time for a priest. But I think he's also one of the only priests in the area, so maybe that's why.
I don't know about that. Mikey, when was the last time you went to therapy?
Anytime I talk to myself, technically that would be therapy, right?
No. I mean like real therapy, like actual therapy.
Like earlier this year.
That's true. It was earlier this year because of the thing.
Covenant. Yeah, you're right.
The school shooting I helped all the people at. You fucking idiot, Todd.
I was trying to make a point that Mikey never goes to therapy, but he's a therapist, and then I got super high-roaded.
I'm not going to lie to you. My bar's pretty high for trauma. And then, so like, you know, I don't go as much as other people, but I have a high tolerance for bad stuff.
It's sadly an occupational hazard, yeah.
But also, I do a lot of self-care twice a day. I go walking in the morning and walking at night. Why is Paige making that face? I don't understand.
Because you're staying at my house in September.
I thought it was because you've pooped twice during this recording, and maybe that's what you refer to as self-care.
We've got 2 bathrooms. That's fine.
I don't feel good. I don't know what's happening to me. I think I'm getting old. Like, this is the year I get old. Because, like, I had an ear infection when I got back from the beach, and I went to the ear doctor, and they were like, we have to clean your ears out because some people, when they get older, produce more earwax. And ocean water gets trapped behind there, and you get an infection. And then she's like, next time, before you go to the beach, just come, we'll clean them out before you go. And I was like a Labrador? I was like, this is the oldest ridiculous thing that's ever happened.
Yep.
Anyway, back to this movie and old people fighting demons. So This is where he's like, okay, your sins are absolved, and also the devil doesn't like jokes. So he's like, let's go do battle. And they go into the room, and he spends like 2 whole minutes just setting tiny statues around the room.
Yep.
Almost like beacons or whatever.
But they're super important because they definitely come back in a very important way later. Oh, wait, they don't?
No, they don't.
That's right.
They never do.
There's no reason for this.
There's no reason for it. The demon keeps talking about fucking. This demon loves to talk about fucking. Like, he's a little obsessed.
Well, he's talking about fucking because, the other priest is like, that's like his sin, right? So like,
well, he hasn't revealed that yet. This is more just the demon being like, fuck me, I'm gonna fuck the hose, whatever.
Yeah, this is when they're copying The Exorcist.
Right. Anyway, he then is like, oh, I know your sins, the girl you let die because you didn't believe me. Now, we then like get a little bit of a look of her, but then we cut over to the other guy where he's like, panty sniffer, like, you slept with this girl. Now, it's implied that she's a, air quote, girl of age, just happens to be a daughter of a parishioner, like, but she's not underage or whatever.
She honestly looks age appropriate for the age of that priest, right? I honestly thought he might have, like, had a youthful dalliance with her when they were, like teenagers or whatever.
Right.
And then he got into the priesthood, right? So like in my mind, he just like misses having sex or whatever. Although he could have also been a priest at the time it happened. Like, I don't know. It doesn't really go into it. But she does look very of age.
But anyway, he flips out and tries to choke the kid. So the priest is like, hey, we'll be back. We're going to take our tiny statues and then we're going to be back.
Yeah.
So we cut back to Rome where the Pope is like the head researcher. He's like the goth girl on NCIS who's just like, I've been looking into it and it looks like these fingerprints are tied to 2 other cases. Like, that's who the Pope is right now.
Yeah, this is a perfect movie, Paige.
It's wild. But then we cut back. And the younger priest, Tomas, is crying, and he's just like, she was the love of my life, but I wouldn't leave God for her, but I lied to her, so that, whatever.
I was fucking her, but like God was super jelly, and then he found out, and then like I couldn't leave him.
I did once have a girl break up with me because she went to church camp, and then when she came back from church camp, she was like, I want to rededicate my life to the Lord. And I was like, okay. So like, I get it. It happens.
So does he have like bigger shoulders than me or like 5 other friends? Like, what's the Lord's deal? Anyway, he's like, okay, I absolve you of your sins, whatever. And then he gives him a book of like, hey, prayer has more power in Latin. So like, learn it in Latin. And I was like, I don't think it does.
No, it totally does. At least in this world. This is what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah.
You have to just like believe that whatever they're saying is true is actually true in their reality.
Right.
Because then it makes the movie so much better. Like, okay, this priest is going to have to learn Latin for the sequel.
Right.
So that he can be up to snuff.
Yeah. So he can go priest mode. Yeah. It's... but literally at the end of this movie, he does learn it at the end of this movie, but what I really wanted was like a clatu, ferrata, nicto, like that level of bad Latin, but no. Anyway, they're talking and he's like, why did it want a priest? Like the demon has a bigger plan, I think. And he's like, there's something I saw in the garden. So this is where he runs out and he tows the top of the well off with his Vespa.
He tows that stone away.
Yes. And like, my thinking was like, why are you opening it? Like, there's a reason they put that stone there.
Yes, there is. But this is when he's like firmly being an investigative journalist, right? This is one of the jobs he gave himself at the beginning of the movie.
Journalist. Erotic arborist.
Yeah, he's a well digger.
He's invested in wellness. Influencer.
Hell yeah.
But so as soon as he opens the well, the cross over the mom's bed turns and she feels like she's getting spooned from like a phantom arm that will eventually try to pull her into the bed. Henry, because he left the other priest inside, Henry calls for help, so the other priest goes inside, and Henry bites his ear.
And spits it back in his face.
Yeah.
The ultimate insult. Do you hear me now, priest?
Yeah, the Mike Tyson, if you will. So then the sister, like, hears whispers and kind of wakes up and is trying to run away from it, but she gets flung across the room and coughs up blood.
Yeah.
And then gets tied in a closet, where it's like trying to hurt her in the closet. The mom's getting pulled into bed. It's like a whole thing. Meanwhile, Russell Crowe's just outside like, well, I smell a gas leak. And he like opens his lighter to light something to drop it down to see how deep the well goes, which by the way is lined with skulls.
It's the catacombs. Like that's what we come to find out. But he drops the lighter down and then like it explodes.
Yes.
Because it is an actual gas leak.
It is a gas leak. But of course, as soon as it explodes, everyone screams. He runs back inside. They grab the mom from the bed. They grab the teenage daughter from the closet where she has clawed the walls and lost fingernails, which is pretty gross.
Yeah.
And then they kind of regroup. And the other priest pours holy water on his ear, which really made me laugh because I was like, do you think it's like vampire blood where it's going to like heal?
Paige, I badly wanted it to like bubble up like it's
yes, like in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where he pours water from the cup over the bullet wound and it like pushes the bullet out.
But it's just like peroxide. Like that's all it is. But I wanted that to be it. Like that would have been a cool effect. I've been like, oh my God, holy water does cure devil bites.
But no.
Which is my favorite Rob Zombie song. Devil bites, bite and devil bites.
Is that a real Rob Zombie song?
No, it's not a real Rob Zombie song.
I don't know. Okay. Anyway, Russell Crowe is just like, oh, you think that ear's bad? One time a demon tried to stab me in the eye with a crucifix. Anyway, this is just a distraction. But I found this well full of Spanish Inquisition skulls. So we got to go underneath this place and see what's good.
You know the Spanish Inquisition, when the devil did that?
Yeah. Well, hey, everyone expects the Spanish Inquisition.
They didn't expect it to be the devil that did it, though.
It's the devil's Inquisition.
Anyway, they go through the tunnels and they break through the wall that has the Vatican seal. And they're like, oh, there's a door. So they push through the door. Meanwhile, as they're down there, the demon wakes up as they walk into the catacombs.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back in Rome, the Pope finds a letter in the records from that abbey. And the letter is basically just like, yo, it was this super strong demon. We couldn't do it. And so we just kind of locked him up. It can't be released. And he's like, no, Gabriel. And so he has a heart attack.
But he's not sick, guys. He's fine.
I know. So down in the basement, they find a really famous old exorcist in a cage. And there's like a whole bunch of like precautions of like, he's in a cage. He's got the ring. He swallowed the key.
Yep. He lost his cage match with that demon.
Right.
That's how he ended up in there. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's also why the kid was listening to metal, because he didn't realize there was an Iron Maiden downstairs. Anyway.
But he goes into his stomach and pulls out the biggest key I've ever seen. And I was like, there's
like
no
he
way
couldn't
he
have
swallowed that.
it.
Yeah. He would have had to unhinge his fucking jaw to get that down.
Todd, not everyone has your gag reflex.
I'm sure your boyfriend's thrilled, Mikey, but like that key is huge.
It is a massive key. Anyway, they're like, oh, great, a key that someone swallowed to definitely keep us from opening this. Let's open it. And they go in. We cut to upstairs. The mom wakes up. Amy is gone. She hears her laughing, so she's looking for her through the house with a syringe of the sedative.
Yeah.
We cut back downstairs. It was like, the gas leak is stronger. That means we're closer to hell. I was like, no, that means you're inhaling more gas.
And they are.
And they are. Meanwhile, back at Rome, the Pope is just like, you gotta tell him. You gotta tell Gabriel. And they're like, tell him what? And he just goes like, and just like like fire hose of blood into another cardinal's face. And I laughed so hard.
It is very funny because that cardinal reacts like he spilled high C on his shirt, not like someone threw up in his mouth. It's wild.
I just thought it was hysterical that this movie's like, do we need the Pope projectile vomiting blood? Of course we do.
Blood of my blood.
This is my body. Yeah, like
I mean, but like, guys, that's how you get a new pope. When the pope that's about to die throws up in the next cardinal's mouth, that is how he becomes the new pope.
Right. And then the white smoke rises above the fan.
Exactly. None of this is canon, but it's my favorite.
I mean, he might have had a cannon. That blood came out fast. Anyway, they go into that room and they're like, oh, it's one of the greatest exorcists of all time. Like, what's going on? And he's got a journal from the Inquisition. And in this journal, it's like, we all got possessed and then we decided to do the Inquisition.
Yeah. Which definitely sounds like a bunch of priests in like the 1800s are like, hey, remember that Spanish Inquisition? What if like we just said the devil did it and then like that got passed down from generation to generation to where we are now?
Oh, you mean like how Vietnam happened? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Are you saying that Vietnam didn't happen and we've been duped into believing it happened?
No, I'm saying that demons led us to Vietnam and wouldn't let us leave.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're definitely saying that that's where one of the 200 fallen angels were. And listen, there's 200. They're probably all around. I'd buy that.
People are saying it. Somebody should be asking these questions.
Yeah. Halliburton.
Yeah. And also, do you know where your kids are at? It's 11 p.m. They're sucking off each other for bracelets.
Is that why Taylor Swift's fandom wears those bracelets?
Yeah.
It's the mark of the beast.
Taylor Swift is the Antichrist. Yeah. Allegedly.
Her new era is the tribulation.
Oh my God. If she did that, I would be gagged and I'd be like, all right. I'm like, I doubted, but clearly. So at this point, they're like, oh, the Inquisition was the work of the devil and everything said like, oh my God, the Vatican must have known this and hid it. Meanwhile, upstairs, Amy is like Evil Dead possessed with the brother and the mom is trying to fight with them. Trying to sedate Henry, which they do eventually do.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back down in the basement, they find a map and they're like, all of the geographic locations of where all of the angels fell from heaven. And those are unholy spots. And also on the back of this, the Declaration of Independence.
But also, like, could they not walk after they fell?
I don't know. Did it hurt when you fell from heaven?
It did. It hurt them emotionally, and that's why they're lashing out in weird ways.
They just stayed at the exact spot they fell. They weren't just like, maybe I should take a look around.
Well, I think the implication is that wherever they fell, even though they didn't stay there, the place becomes evil, and therefore it can breed evil and possess people.
No, the demon is the angel that fell.
No, this demon is one that's trying to use these evil spaces to possess multiple people to raise an army. Because this demon, Asmodeus, is supposedly the king of hell, which means he didn't necessarily land there. He has a position in hell.
Like he's already from hell, but the Wi-Fi signal from hell like picks up better at the 200 sites that the fallen angels fell.
Right, he needs to get to one of those sites to cerebro.
I get it. Yes, I'm back on board. Okay.
That's what's happening, yeah.
But also, 200 is a lot of places.
It is.
Why wouldn't this have happened before? But I feel like that's what the movie is going to be like. Oh, it's going to go back through all his other exorcisms, and it's going to turn out that he's been to a bunch of those places, and that's why. And
I love it.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, so upstairs, as they're kind of fighting with Henry, he strangles the mom and the sister and turns her head all the way around.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
Yeah, it is very creepy. But she's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But now they have the demon's name, Asmodeus. So they're like, haha, now that we have the demon's name, we can fight it, which is a thing that persists through a lot of exorcism texts, but doesn't have any basis in anything, but like, whatever. Anyway, the Pope seems to be dying because he's getting too old for this shit.
Uh-huh.
He's getting too holy for this shit, Paige.
Yep. I was one day away from retirement. Anyway, so they go back to fight with Henry, and they're like, they have like a gear up montage with the mom and the sister, and they're like, it wants me, it preys on Exorcist, so now we have a plan. You take this golden amulet, the power of Christ compels you, whatever. And he then makes confession where he's like, I survived a war and I've had guilt about it ever since. And then when I woke up, there was a bird. And for some reason, that bird is significant to me, even though the movie is not going to super explain it. And then when I saw that girl who clearly was not possessed, but she was unfortunately having a mental health crisis, she bit the head off a bird that looks like that bird, and it made me laugh a lot.
Well, because she does like Ozzy Osbourne, this bird, and then it like cuts to her, completing suicide off the top of a building, right?
Right.
All of this being a flashback of where that girl's story is, right?
Right. And he basically is like, I referred her to mental health services and she unfortunately completed suicide. But again, I'm like, you did the right thing. Like sometimes, even with you doing everything, sometimes people still make the vote and complete suicide. And
ultimately, you don't get a choice. They get to choose that.
Yeah.
But I really did think that sequence was well done. Like her falling off the top or, sort of letting herself fall off the top and then showing it in slow motion. Like it's like a very creepy speed.
Yeah.
And when he runs over and grabs her and it shows that shot of her laying on the ground, the blood is in a wing pattern behind her. And I was like, oh, that is very cool. Like that was either the director or a really good second director shooting those shots. Like, well done.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing that it seems like he does feel guilty about is that like after her death, he found out that she was being abused. And he said, I didn't help her when she needed me. And I'm like, well, you got her help. Multiple people worked with her. Unfortunately, it still turned out bad, but like you did what you were supposed to do, but this movie is confused.
So, Paige, what I think you're confusing is he feels guilty for this, but this is not a sin, and he's like confessing it. It's not a sin.
As a sin.
I mean, I understand why you might bring this up with the priest, but it's not like something you would have to do in confession because it's not a sin. But I understand why he might feel a little guilty about it, just because, like, it's not his fault. He didn't do anything wrong, but it impacted him. I get that.
It's still sad. Yeah.
I think he pushed her. I think he's lying to us.
People are talking.
He's an unreliable narrator and exorcist.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, my biggest sin is like I helped her, but like she still died. And you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like a sin.
That's your biggest sin? Young priest over here is making this lady call him father, and you're like, the worst thing I've ever done is not help someone fully.
That is one of the hottest lines in Fleabag, where he's just like, fuck you for calling me father like you don't love saying it. Like, love it.
Yeah.
Let's just watch Fleabag instead.
But
anyway.
would.
So I think what he feels guilty about is that he didn't look into her claims of abuse and did not bring it to light while she was still alive.
Sure.
But again, nobody's perfect. You tried. Anyway, so he gears everybody up like, you get the medal, put on the armor of God. Jesus Christ, let's go. So by the time they get in there to Henry, he has like full demon face. And he like appears as different people. So like on the ceiling, it's the girl that the priest couldn't help, and she's just like munching on birds. And then Tomas sees the girl that he was sleeping with. Then Henry has like a giant mouth and then collapses. And the mom is trying to call Henry back, but his body is failing, and on his chest it just says God is not here. But then Amy gets possessed and does the spider crawl, because you can't have an exorcism movie without the spider crawl.
She literally goes from a exorcism reference to a Last Exorcism reference as she climbs up the wall and like sticks to the wall up there.
Hereditary did it best.
Agreed. That's so much scarier than both of those movies.
Oh, yeah.
Although the last exorcism is scary. This, not as much.
Oh, the one that gets me in Last Exorcism is where they run into her room and they're like, where is she? And she's perched on top of the armoire. Ugh.
Yeah, terrifying.
Anyway, so thus begins a fight between Amy and Mom, in which Amy smashes the mom's head through a sink, which would absolutely kill you.
Amy, smash! Amy, possessed!
No demon! Bad for Amy! Yeah.
I don't even know what movie that's from anymore.
It's Congo.
Is it Congo?
It's
Yeah. Okay.
With the Nintendo
How
Power
dare you.
Glove.
That's what it is.
Anyway, head through the sink. And she's choking her in the bathtub. But at this point, because clearly Henry's going to die, Amy's going to die, the mom's going to die, the other priest's going to die. And the demon is just like, they all suffer because of you. I just want your soul. And so he's just like, fine, take it. And everyone's like, oh, cured. And he's like, get out of here, run away. Like he's turning into a werewolf. Like, go, it's a full moon.
It's like he can only keep the demon at bay for so long. But this is a Father Karras moment, right? Like when,
yes.
Oh no, not Father Karras. It's the, no, it is.
Father Karras.
It is Father Karras because the other one dies of a heart attack. That's right. So it is Father Karras moment. Although, well, instead of like jumping out the window, he's trying to hang himself in the rectory or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And for the rest of the time, we basically just get the demon as voiceover, which is crazy.
I know.
But then he like hangs himself and falls, and then the demon makes the chandelier fall. And in my notes, I just have Phantom of the Opera, because like it just sways and crashes, and I was like, wow, all right. So he goes to the basement, and the other priest follows him down there because he's like, he's gonna need my help. So it's like this weird where Russell Crowe is just Dennis Hoppering his way through the basement like TCM2, just like breaking stuff and crashing through things.
Yeah, it is like prop comedy, The Exorcism. It's great.
Yes. But then the other priest arrives and starts praying in Latin, and he quotes the scripture of where two of you are gathered, there am I in your midst. And he's like, Latin, Latin, Latin. So it kind of releases them. But then out of the weird pond in the middle of the room comes both the girls that haunt them.
I hate when that happens.
Adela covered in blood like Lilith from True Blood season 5. And then it's the bird girl who's got birds, but like half her face is all whatever.
Yeah, when she makes it rain feathers from the ceiling, I lost my mind.
Oh, I totally skipped over the Virgin Mary, and we got to talk about it.
Yeah, because that's how the two girls are revealed. The Virgin Mary comes up, right? And then she becomes the one who's haunting Russell Crowe.
Right.
That's not Virgin Mary. That's Hussy Mary.
It's Version Mary instead of Virgin Mary.
Right, it is a version of Mary, an evil version. Mary. And the girl in the Iron Maiden is just the young priest girl that's haunting him.
Yeah, for sure. But this is where, because it's like a beam of light, like it's from heaven, and then Mary comes up, and this is where I needed her to be like, leave the priest alone. And then like she fights the demon. That's what I wanted so badly.
I did that. I did like that Father Thomas did get his Red Wings today.
He does, yeah. He tries not to, but he couldn't fight her off enough.
But he like presses the medallion against her head, and she just explodes into a blood mist that just covers him in blood.
I thought for a second that Blade from the first movie Blade was there, because that's
yes.
the same effect they used in the 1997, I think, movie Blade.
Well, I know that you two are in relationships, but pro tip, when I'm sleeping with somebody and we're in the middle of coitus, I always press my St. Christopher medal against their face just to make sure they're not a demon.
Just in case.
I would think that would be a part of at least like the foreplay ritual. You wait until you're BD to check to see if they're a demon.
Yeah, my kink is danger.
But what if it turns out she's a mannequin?
Mannequin was not a demon. That's a different sort of belief system. I mean, that's not how demon possession works.
Shit, I forget that in that mannequin episode on Romance in the Pod, we went into, does his dick get ripped off when she becomes a mannequin when a third person comes in and watches them?
We answered the essential questions. Anyway, back to this movie. She explodes into a blood balloon, and then the other one, he pushes her back into the like puddle thing that turns into lava.
Yes.
And she gets sucked into a lava pool.
It is. It looks sort of like tar and lava, and then like, I don't know, the CGI effect is not great.
No, it's wild. And then they get up and they're just like, good thing you learned Latin. The Lord works in mysterious ways. Whiskey. And then we cut back to Rome, and the Pope is fine now, and he's just like, glad you're back. Your next mission is to go to all these different sites.
We're collecting priests with special abilities.
Yes. I'd like to talk to you about the Vatican Initiative.
It would have been great if the Pope showed up with like a white eye patch.
Yes.
And was like collecting priests from around the globe.
It looks like Vatican Shield at the end of this movie, because there's like a whole office of people that are like, we're tracking the things or whatever. But this is where he's like, hell yeah, let's go to work. And then he goes, let's go to hell.
I laughed out loud.
And then we get a final title card that says like he did exorcisms until his death in 2016 in Rome. He wrote many books. The books are good.
Yeah.
And
that's the movie. So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what'd you guys think about The Pope's Exorcist?
Bonkers.
I hope it's a franchise.
Oh yeah, it is bonkers, but I too, Mikey, hope they franchise the shit out of this.
Yes.
Like I want 10 of these movies, all with Russell Crowe, and then later on I want someone who is yet to be born to play the young version that we get a bunch of prequels out of.
Yes.
Like I want this series to last forever.
New Indiana Jones.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Because this movie is not good, but it is so fun.
It's very fun.
It is amazingly fun.
Yes.
But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
Yes.
Well, hit us with your fun facts.
Devil
Popey fun facts.
So Russell Crowe did a lot of research into Father Gabriel Amorth's life and discovered that his favorite movie was The Exorcist and that he became very good friends with William Friedkin, who then directed the documentary on his life. But he also met with other personal friends who accompanied him on exorcisms to try and get a sense of the character he was playing. Based on that, Russell Crowe is the one who came up with the Vespa idea.
I love Russell Crowe.
He's perfect.
I don't think I'd like hanging out with him.
I think you would. I think he was the kind of guy, I think he was like a dick like 20 years ago, but then as he got older, he got like
I think
much
he's
cooler.
mellowed out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have only heard the dick stories. I haven't heard like the mellow out stories.
But even his dick stories are like, I got drunk and threw a telephone at a guy who like tried to take my picture, and I'm like, well, we've all been there, you know?
I definitely think we are seeing Russell Crowe entering what I would call his Nick Cage era. And
Love it.
Whereas I definitely think Nick Cage's agent during that time in his career was just cocaine.
Yeah.
I don't think that about Russell Crowe necessarily. Like, this movie is a level of bonkers that I want to see him stay in.
Yeah.
So part of the reason he came up with the Vespa is because he saw priests driving Vespas around Rome and wanted to include it on the film. Now, according to interviews with some of the screenwriters and producers that worked on this film, they researched and looked at interviews with Father Amorth, and his belief was truly that demons don't like jokes. Like, he fully believed that.
Oh, wait, that's real?
That's real.
I love that.
Yes, he fully believed it, and including there's a video of an allegedly possessed child. And essentially, allegedly in this video, the child says you can't hide behind your jokes forever.
Oh, he says that in this movie, too. Like, that's a line of dialogue in this movie.
They lifted it and put it in the movie. Yeah.
Wild. Okay.
Yeah.
That's from Father Amorth's book. I think it's entitled The Devil Fucking Hates My Type 5.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've read that one. It's great.
Yeah. My roast battle with the devil, colon, the Father Amorth story. So the medallion. So the explanation about it is that it's the reverse side of a Saint Benedictine medal written in reverse.
Well, that explains everything.
And yeah, it's got a couple things written on it, but one of them is an acronym for a Latin prayer of exorcism against Satan. Vade retro satana, nucanum suade mahivana, sut malaque libas, ipse venena bibas.
Paige, what are you doing?
Satan.
You're going to call someone out here. God, Paige.
Let me do it backwards.
Latin is so powerful. It's the most powerful language.
Oh, no, Mikey. But it supposedly means, begone, Satan, never tempt me with your vanities. What you offer me is evil. Drink the poison yourself. Very specific.
You can learn how to do that when you read my book. I slept with a Satan sister, knocked her up, and then left her with my child, and now Satan has to raise it as his nephew, but also son, and I won't pay child support, colon, my battle against evil.
These books are super specific, but I love it.
It's super specific. So in this film, the Pope is a fictionalized rendition of J.P. the Deuce, John Paul II, who was Pope in 1986 at the time that this story takes place. But I like to think of J.P. the Deuce as like a police chief, basically.
That is what this movie is, though. And that's essentially why I love this movie. It's great.
So I've got some notes on the 200.
Hell yeah. Okay.
So the account of this incident is taken from the Book of Enoch, which is largely considered to be apocryphal, but it was found among the Dead Sea Scrolls.
I know the Book of Enoch. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason it's considered apocryphal is because there aren't other copies of it. So like usually when something is considered apocryphal, it's because they couldn't find it in other places as well to establish it as a book that was circulated at the time.
Which doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't. It just means we have no historical record of it being circulated.
Right. Exactly. And that's why. Yeah. Now, they're taking this from the story of the Nephilim, where that's the 200 they're mentioning, which is why I was like, there's no 200 what is this? And it's because they have blended two completely different stories.
Hell
because the Nephilim aren't fallen angels, right?
Right.
No, they're half
not.
Angel, half people.
Exactly.
After you read my book, I fucked a fallen angel and made a Nephilim. My battle against loneliness.
Well, and so like it refers to 200 angels who are called the Watchers, who then interbreed with human women or whatever. So that's where they're getting that number.
I didn't know that was an option. Are they still taking applications for the afterlife?
To become a Watcher?
But that 200 is not the same as like fallen angels that fell with the devil,
because
that's a third
fell, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's only 600 angels.
Yeah. Well, we don't have a number of how many angels there are. They just say a third. So that's why I was like 200. What are they talking about?
That'd be so funny if I went there and I was like, he's like, yeah, we've only got 400 angels. So that's why they got shitty.
Oops. But it's them essentially blending two stories that are not the same story at all, but they just don't understand that.
Guys, the screenwriters did minutes of research to write this movie.
So according to an interview with a Vatican-approved exorcist, because again, they do exist, they don't get a lot of work, but he speculated that if Father Amort saw this movie, he would be disgusted by the use of his name and character exploited in film like this. So apparently he wouldn't be happy with it either.
Who sold the life rights? Like, how are they able to use his name?
I've got notes.
Okay, cool. I'll shut up then. I didn't realize you had it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So production began in 2020. Screen Gems bought the rights to his story and his books, but there were a couple replacements and script revisions, but they just straight up, after he died in 2016, they purchased those life rights outright. And once you sell the life rights, you don't get to dictate how they get used.
Right.
And I think because he was a public figure who had books and whatever, he reminds me of like a Frank Dukes, or the guy from Mindhunter who claimed he solved every crime that he was only sort of involved in.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing where it's like their life is so big in their books that people, of course, want that story, and there's just not a lot of truth to it. Like Ed and Lorraine, too, but after you're dead, what can you do?
I mean, the only difference between Ed and Lorraine and this guy is that this guy was a religion-sponsored exorcist,
right?
Whereas Ed and Lorraine were not. They were like more secular exorcists.
Right.
And I should just change out the word exorcism for con man.
Yeah.
And then that is the reality of it. But
Yeah. So the demonic entity is revealed to be Asmodeus. According to some sects of belief and exorcist testimonies, he's one of 5 generals, second in command behind Baal, a demon who appeared in the film The Rite, which was also written by this film's screenwriter.
Okay.
Now, in Jewish texts, there's Ashmedai, who is king of the demons and spent time in the company of King Solomon as a prisoner before fleeing back to his domain. Again, questionable as far as the origin of those stories, but it's likely that Asmodeus in the Key of Solomon is kind of a stolen story from that.
It's super lucky that like the power structure of hell also exactly matched the power structure that was prevalent in the culture that was writing this story.
Yeah. But those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for The Pope's Exorcist in 2023 when this movie came out?
I'm going to say this cost 20 mil.
Okay.
30.
Paige, you are closer, but guys, you're both a little bit high. It's $18 million.
Oh.
This looks good for 18 mil.
It does. And Russell Crowe's a big star. Like, I think largely this movie is a single location movie. It's at the Abbey, but there are a few other shots that aren't there, but it's mainly at the Abbey. I think that's probably how they saved some money on that. But it looks good. The CGI is fine, and you got Russell Crowe, so what's not to love? Now, this movie came out on April 14th of, again, this year. It was number 2 the weekend it came out. It was beat by another religious movie, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Number 2 was, of course, The Pope's Exorcist. Number 3 was John Wick Chapter 4. Number 4 was another horror movie. We actually saw it at Panic Fest called Renfield. And number 5 was Air, which I assume is the Air Bud prequel that just came out. What do you think The Pope's Exorcist made in its opening weekend?
Second place. People were talking about this movie because I think everyone was like, this is going to be fucking nuts.
Russell Crowe gets asses in seats too. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say 12 mil.
I'm going to say 15.
All right. It wasn't quite that high. It was $9 million. Actually, just over $9 million.
That's still good on an 18 mil budge.
It is. And Paige, the news is only going to get better from here. It was in theaters for a total of 11 weeks and honestly didn't do like amazing domestically, but it did pretty well internationally. But what do you think it made domestically in its domestic run here in the States?
32.
Okay.
55.
You guys are both a little bit high. It was just at $20 million domestically, but it did really well overseas. Its international release made it $52.9 million.
Damn!
So it made a total of $72.9 million, again on an $18 million budget. And even if you double that and consider that for marketing, it still made money, which is, I'm sure, why we're getting a sequel. I would be shocked if we don't get a sequel that does better than the original. But that's your box office. So, Mikey, do you want to hit him with that scary scale?
Yeah, Scary Scare listeners is how scary we found the film when we watched it today. Or one example is Ghostbusters, and our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
This is a 1 for me.
Yeah, these movies typically get me. This movie was just so silly, it took me out of being scared of it. So I was a 1 as well.
I also will give it a 1. And that's our Scary Scale.
I love that addition to the scary scale. Well, this week, you guys made us watch The Pope's Exorcist. Now, it is like you guys just get to pick movies, right?
So dealer's choice.
Yeah, so
Mikey's going first.
Okay, so Mikey, what movie are you going to make us watch next week?
So I have decided, I may have hijacked the podcast. I don't know. We've done a lot of Mikey-esque films lately.
I feel like we just did one in this movie, yes.
So I'm researching, and we're going to try to, next couple months, maybe go a little bit scarier. So I'm going to pick 2017's The Temple, which is a film I think I saw and was scary, but I believe it'll scare you because it has a lot of jump scares.
Okay. I mean, that is definitely what scares me.
And it's about 3 Americans who go to Japan and visit a temple. So you're going to talk so much shit about that time you went to Japan that I'm designing this episode for you.
Mikey, I do have a lot of personal experience visiting Japan and visiting temples in Japan. And it's called The Temple, right?
Yep.
I'm just going to go ahead and check to make sure it's streamable because I'm sure you didn't.
Actually, Mikey and I checked this morning.
Oh, did you? I'm not even seeing it on these streaming sites. It's called The Temple?
And it's just called Temple.
Oh, okay. That's why.
It's on Tubi for free.
It is. Yeah.
It is on Tubi.
So the movie is actually called Temple, not The Temple, and it's available in quite a few places to stream.
It's got terrible reviews. Should be fun.
Well, that's your homework for next week, guys. So watch Temple on one of the streaming platforms. So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
No.
Well, while you're looking one up, let me tell them how they can have their review read on the podcast, and that's to leave us a 5-star text review, and we'll have Mikey read it for you. So, Mikey, whose review are you going to read this week?
Leanne.
Well, what does Leanne have to say?
I love this podcast.
Hell yeah.
This podcast is what gets me through my tough shifts at work. As soon as I finish all of them, I re-listen because y'all are so funny. 5 stars.
Well, Leanne, thank you so much for listening and re-listening to the podcast. We appreciate it. And if you want to have Mikey read your 5-star review, leave us a 5-star review. So, guys, if you like this show but want to hear this power throuple on another movie review show about romance and romantic comedies, check out Romancing the Pod, where Mikey, Paige, and I break down and make fun of romantic movies. It's a lot of fun, guys. Check it out. If you want to follow us on social, please do. We are at Horror Virgin or online at horrorvirgin.com. If you want to follow us all individually, you can do that as well. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Twitter or Rampage Wesley everywhere else, including TikTok. Mikey is at mrandolph24 and I am at Todd J. Awesome. If you like the show so much and you want to help financially support it, please do by going to patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where you can get a lot of great levels and a lot of great stuff like bonus episodes, director's cut episodes where they're a little bit longer and you get them actually a day earlier than the regular feed drop. We do a lot of great things like listener requests and stuff like that. So guys, check out the Patreon and help support the show.
If you want to financially support me, but not Todd, just look me up on Venmo.
If you can't financially support the show, that's understandable. That's fine. But if you want to hang out with us on the daily, join the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/horrorvirgin. We also link it like once a week. So just find it there and join the awesome Facebook group. Literally, we're in there talking every day. It's awesome. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to check out our Twitch stream, we're at twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, where we will be playing horror video games. So if you have always wondered what it would be like to watch me get scared, you can now do that on Twitch while I play these horror games. It's twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, guys. Check it out. It's a lot of fun for you. Not a lot of fun for me. This episode was brought to you by Tia, and Tia's teenager's been driving her crazy. So how is Tia's teenager driving her crazy this week?
She keeps stealing cigarettes from construction workers.
And isn't that the most annoying thing in the world?
Yes.
This episode also brought to you by Jonathan, and Jonathan wants us to watch some videos he sends us. So I'm going to steal your screen right now and make you watch this video that actually is a reference to our Deep Rising episode, because that's the one that just came out.
I'm so glad I finally get to find out about this thunder in paradise of which you speak.
Yes, absolutely. So this is the opening credits in 4K for the TV show Thunder in Paradise.
I remember the song.
Me too.
Is 4K like for kaleidoscope? Because it looks like this was filmed on a kaleidoscope.
Yeah, definitely does. Look at that. Look at him run. Where did that explosion come from? Nowhere,
I don't
Paige.
know.
That's
but I think
where.
it's funny that he's Terry Hulk Hogan instead of Terry Bollea.
There's Thunder, the stealth boat.
That's the Stealth Boat Thunder. Oh, look, it's the Baywatch shots from Thunder in Paradise. Look at that gun. He had a shotgun with a huge circular barrel on it.
This looks terrible.
I'm not going to lie. Thunder in Paradise as a song slaps. Thunder in Paradise.
The graphics on this boat are abysmal.
It's like a Transformer boat, Paige.
I just think it's funny that there's a bunch of other people on the show. It's clearly a whole ass show, and they're like, well, you got to put Hulk Hogan in it. Okay, fine.
There's no way Hulk Hogan didn't come up with this theme, idea in a hotel on a 3-day binge from cocaine.
Oh, God. Well, that's how he wrote No Holds Barred, which
Exactly.
Perfect. This is a perfect show.
Who's that old
Who's
guy
that
just
guy?
walking?
He's Edward Whittaker.
Okay.
What the fuck is that?
Paige, that's Thunder in Paradise, baby. And Jonathan, thank you so much for sending us that video for us to watch. We appreciate it. We now return you to another episode of The Patreonicals.
Welcome back to Fantasy Land. Okay, so everybody's in the big fairy tale castle, and Karun and Natasha, they come running down from their tower, and they're crying, and they're like, our 18 children have been kidnapped.
18.
All 18 of them?
Yes, all of them. And Sunzi's like, we'll pull a thing out of the Jay's pack to help us find your children.
Hell yeah.
And Sexcalibur, who Sunzi is sheathed in Sunzi's side there, is like, I fucking hate you, Sunzi. I want to go back to James Avery night. James Avery's like, chill out. We'll get there. And then, so he reaches in and he pulls out fucking loom or whatever. I don't remember.
Loom? He pulls out a loom? Oh, because Rumpelstiltskin. I got you. Yeah, of course.
And everybody's like, what the fuck is this? And so,
You mean a spinning wheel?
yep.
Great.
It's a spinning wheel. And so they're like, how's this going to help us? And then Madeline the Jester cartwheels by and was like, have everybody try it. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So Boeasy and Allie get on that loom, and string just takes the fuck off of it and goes out the castle door, and they have to follow the string. So they knight up, regulators mount up. And so Isaac gets on his horse with his black knight armor.
It was a fairy tale night, a fairy tale moon, all the patrioticals on the streets trying to follow the string.
Right. Kate gets on her horse with their psychic stuff. And then so does Wes, because he's wants to be he's like Prince Charming, but he wants to be a knight, but he's super lame. It's whatever. Driscoll just suits up in his Iron Man suit and flies along with them. Bosie and Allie are they're stuck in the string by the loom, so they're stuck there. Jeremy with his laser eyes has a special saddle for his toeless foot. He's missing one toe, but
right.
he feels self-conscious, but it's a special saddle. Libby the Moon Queen is on top of the rafters. What do they call them?
Rafters.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know where they, like, where are they?
I don't know what's on top of a castle.
Rafters.
The things with the archers.
The parapet?
Yeah. Well, she's like standing above it. She's like, go get the children. Those are all the children. It's fine. Mr. Rage Bomb is like, I will come with you and light the way with my fireworks. I miss my old power of blowing things up. River Moon, the bad witch, and Aaron, the good witch, have a fight in one of the rooms. And they're like, you did this and you did this. But it's like a mysterious voice is like, no, I did this. And they're like, oh, shit. And then Madeline cartwheels back and she's like, also, Vixen Avery's missing again. She must be maiden in distress all over and again. Her scent leads the same way as the string.
Wait, they can smell her?
Madeline the Jester can because she's got the long jester.
Like plague nose? Is that what you're combining to make this? So jesters didn't wear plague noses, Mikey, but okay.
Is this your world or my world?
You know what? That's constructive and good feedback. I'll listen to that. Yeah.
And that's our episode, I think. Setting up the new epic Rumpelstiltskin storyline.
I guess we'll have to wait till next week to find out how Mikey is going to eventually save Vixen Avery, who has been a damsel in distress for like 6 weeks, on another episode of the Patreonicals.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it ooky spooky.
Have a great week.
Yeah. Bye!